time to wake up. Kincade and Salciunas is on the air.
Today's talk show for your morning drive.
Who is this baseball team now that you don't have Zach Wheeler? Are they still this number one contender or number two contender? Does the record do them justice? When you know that Zach Wheeler is done for the rest of the season, who do you guys believe this Phillies team actually is?
Broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studios, here are your hosts, John Kincade and Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Well, yeah, that was yesterday's question. Who is this Phillies team without Zach Wheeler? They played pretty well for a couple of games, and then last night happened. Good morning. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside Amy Fadul. Johnny the K out on vacation. He'll be back Tuesday, as will I, after I take Thursday and Friday off. But it's Sal's Pals week.
Yes.
It's all my friends,
Did you say
Amy.
he'll be back Tuesday? Because today is...
Next Tuesday.
Okay.
Tuesday after Labor Day.
Got it.
We got Labor Day Monday.
Right.
But this week's Sal's Pals. I had DeCheco in yesterday.
Yeah, it is.
I got you today.
Sal's
I got
Pals.
Connor tomorrow. And
It's a rotating guest.
Yeah, so it's Sal's Pals week. I mean, I like it. I like the name of the show for the next 3 days.
Yeah.
Sal's Pals.
Sal's Pals.
Good morning, Amy.
Good morning.
Last night sucked. I put it on my show sheet at the top.
Yeah.
I hate all of you. The Phillies made me hate them yesterday because I love them so much.
Well, they let you
Let
down.
me make that clear.
You don't hate them so much as you're disappointed.
Yeah. It's the fatherly. I'm not angry. I'm disappointed. But honestly, Amy, I'm a little angry. I can't just do the whole I'm not angry. I'm disappointed this morning. I am angry. I'm pissed off. When you go to Citi Field yesterday, and you've been riding pretty high, right? You sweep the Mariners, which is an impressive feat, right? You got standing ovation, just like Jose Alvarado. Standing ovation for sweeping the Seattle Mariners. Taking 2 of 3 against the Nationals, I'll take it. That's wonderful. You're adding to your National League East lead, and you could have done even more of that yesterday when the team that is behind you is hosting you. And you start off great. Trey Turner, leadoff triple.
Good times.
Great time. Kyle Schwarber does his job. Small ball. Kyle Schwarber, Mr. 40-plus home runs, can play small ball and hit a ground out. Turner scores. It's 1-0. You got your now ace on the mound because of the absence of Zach Wheeler for the remainder of the season in Christopher Sanchez, and he looks good early. You put up 2 more runs in the top of the third inning. You're up 3-0. And all the LOL Mets tweets are out there. And I'm taking part of it. I'm having fun. Like, screw this Mets team. And then the Mets come back, and the Phillies put their tail between their legs the next 6 innings of that ball game.
The implosion. And it really started with the balk, I think. That really is where, and then there was a couple of misplays.
Yep.
You know, could Alec Boehm have knocked it down?
It took a weird hop.
It was just kind of like
Really
a weird
weird
play.
hop.
That was a weird play, and then you're thinking like they did. So the Phillies did some of their damage, with 2 outs, which was great.
Yeah.
And then the Mets did their damage with 2 outs, and it just kept piling on. And then of course, I don't have to mention it, but the bullpen.
Yeah, the bullpen was just atrocious.
Which is weird that they didn't hit the Mets bullpen and whatever.
Yeah, look, a lot of
The
weird
Mets
things
bullpens.
happened last night. The Mets scored 13 runs yesterday. Let me tell you what the top of the order did for New York yesterday. So credit to the Phillies. Francisco Lindor goes 0 for 6. Juan Soto 1 for 3, did walk twice. Starling Marte 1 for 3, walked once. Pete Alonso 1 for 5. So if you did not watch the game last night and you just heard me rattle off the stats for the top of the order, the first 4 hitters of the Mets lineup yesterday, you're probably thinking,
Win.
all right, good day for the Phillies.
Well, how'd they get 6 at-bats?
Well, Mark
Yeah, wait a minute.
Vientos, who killed you in the playoffs last year, 2 for 3 yesterday. Brandon Nimmo 1 for 4 with the walk, and of course, he had a sprint down the first base line to do it, you goober. Tyrone Taylor 3 for 4 with a walk. Jeff McNeil 2 for 4. He drives in 3 runs. Luis Torrens 3 for 5 RBI for the 9-hole hitter of the New York Mets. I get it. Look, games like that happen. They do. The Phillies have been a part of it where they've won, where the bottom of the order has just exploded and you put up a lot of runs. The Phillies obviously have been on the downside of it where they give up a lot of runs and guys in the bottom of the order, the guys that you don't think about would do damage against you, did damage against you. But in a night like last night where you've been riding high and you had the chance to put a nail in the coffin of the New York Mets' chances to not only win the National League East, but let's face it, they only, going into last night, had a 1.5 lead over the Reds for that final wild card spot. And I would not like to see the Mets in the playoffs. A, because I despise them with every bit of my body. And B, Because they knocked you out yesterday.
And it's not a good matchup. It's not a good matchup. We all remember it last year. Nothing's really changed. We all talked about at the trade deadline what the Mets did. They certainly have shored up parts of their bullpen. Their bats, though the stats don't say it, are very good at the top of the. Obviously, we know that. So, yeah, you don't want to face the Mets. I think that's the worst case scenario because then there are some people out there, and I've talked to them, and you probably have too, like, oh, if you face the Mets, you would exercise your demons. Let's not flirt with disaster, okay?
Right.
Let's just, go ahead and try to eliminate them. Don't even think about it. But it was such a big tone setter when you come out and you have a 3-0 lead.
Yeah.
And you have your ace. This is your ace now, right? Christopher Sanchez, he has the weird cleat caught thing, and it just seemed to derail. But you brought up the point. They just seemed to cave after that. Like, it's 3-3, right?
It's 3-3.
It's not the end of the world. It's not great.
5-3.
Yeah. How do you not score any more runs?
Well, because there was a camera or a microphone out in center field that really bothered Alec Boehm, which he needs to get ripped today for that. A 10-minute delay, which, I don't know, maybe that impacted your starting pitcher. Because it was a 3-3 ball game, and in the next inning, after a very long delay, because you were upset about a microphone in center field, Christopher Sanchez gives up another run in the 5th, and then there's 2 more runs in the 6th. And should that delay have stopped the Phillies' bats from working? No, absolutely not. But maybe it did impact your starting pitcher. Connor, you're a big D3 pitcher. You know what it's like when you sit a while in between innings. Sometimes it's for the benefit of your team because that means your offense had a big inning, or because somebody's complaining about a camera or a microphone in center field, that may mess up your rotation.
It's also just, it's bad vibes.
Yeah.
It's pointing out something that probably doesn't have anything to do with the game. Maybe one pitch found its way into that small circle that might have made it hard to see. But at that point, you're arguing about something that has nothing to do with the team you're playing. It takes you out of the game. It keeps people's focus on something else. And it also says to the other team, hey, they're looking at other stuff besides just us because they're getting frustrated as the Mets started to come back. And then it unraveled. There was so much that was just, some of it atypical, some of it very typical for the Phillies last night. It all resulted in, that's the worst loss of the season.
So I have a question for you all today. Of course, our audience, you can text in, call in 610-632-0975. But I want to kick this around the room a little bit. Now, Amy, I did make a promise yesterday to start the show where I will not do the whole, this is why they're going to lose, this is why they're going to lose, even though you know how I feel. I don't feel great about this team's chances. I didn't feel great after the trade deadline. I obviously the injury news to Zach Wheeler pretty much put a stamp for me on they're not going to win the World Series, but I don't want to be that guy. Like, I don't want to do the whole, this is what I keep telling you. Like, I don't want to do that. I want to have fun watching Phillies baseball. And last night was one of the first nights where it was, hey, honey, do you mind doing most of bedtime tonight? You can't do that for 162 games. You get it? You got kids going to middle school now. Unbelievable.
Crazy.
But, not every single night for a Phillies game. Eagles, that's one thing. But for a Phillies game, I can't do the whole, hey, I got to watch
this one, right?
But tonight and tomorrow,
this is it.
The same message. Hey, hon, do you mind doing the books? I'm going to watch the game on my phone here. I'll be in the room, but I won't really be in the room.
Not active.
And so I was so fired up to watch yesterday's game, to the promise that I made you guys. Like, I'm still going to ride with this team and be excited. And then last night was a kick in the you-know-whats. So my question for you guys, and I want to discuss this. Do you worry if the Phillies have it, like the it factor? Because yesterday was a spot where you could have gone in with your chest out. In New York, which is a big city still, regardless of what we say about #LOL Mets, right? Like, it is New York. Last year, that team knocked you out of the playoffs, and you were embarrassed by them. The recent stretch that these two teams were going on, the Mets were playing embarrassing baseball. The Phillies were playing good baseball. And yet, as soon as they walk into that stadium, or maybe after the third inning, I should say, they floundered.
It looked like deflated.
Do you worry if they have it, like the it factor? I know they were in the World Series a couple years ago. I know they were in the NLCS a couple years ago. We know what happened in those series. When they got tight, it got tight, and you felt it, whether you were in the stadium at Citizens Bank Park, when you were on the road in Houston or in Arizona, or in your own house. Like, I could feel it in those games, like, uh-oh.
It didn't feel good.
And then you saw it play out last year the way that it did. And now, last night, now they could win the next two. And this conversation would have been a blip in the radar. But I want you guys to talk about this with me coming up next, and I want to hear from you guys all at 610-632-0975. Do you worry if the Phillies have that it factor? The talent's there. They are a good baseball team, regardless of the score yesterday. But sometimes you got to wonder if they have it. So we'll discuss that coming up next. Also, I got to ask just what happened. Amy mentioned the bullpen. I'll explain more coming up next. It's Kincade Salciunas. Amy in for John today, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Do you feel unfulfilled? Do your afternoons feel like Groundhog Day because you keep hearing the same old tired takes? Good news. There is a solution to your afternoon drag.
I want to start with the biggest positive development, biggest surprise. Because I guess surprise can also go negative, but I have disappointment coming up. So your biggest surprise in a positive light.
I have a
from Cam.
few.
All right. Hit me with two of them.
Positive surprise, Darius Cooper, the rookie wide receiver out of Tarleton State. He was sort of buried and an afterthought when the Eagles announced their undrafted rookie free agent class. Every single day he made a play, and the moment was never too big for him. He definitely proved that he belonged, and it wasn't just the splash plays. He was consistent. And for an undrafted rookie, you see those every year. Every team has them. He can play, and I do believe that he's going to make this roster.
He's going to make the 53. If you had to look at that wide receiver room right now, who's in the 53?
I would say, obviously, AJ, Devontae, Jahan, John Mechie. We'll have to wait and see about Johnny Wilson, so I'm going to take him out of this equation for now. Anais Smith being the punt returner, and Darius Cooper, he's just shown too much. And if you already have the mindset that Jahan Dotson won't be an Eagle or potentially won't be an Eagle next year, well, Darius Cooper gives you some cost-effective depth that you can kind of develop this year.
Not underestimate how good JT has been. Since June 9th, do you know he has the best batting average of any player in the National League? Any of them. The thing I've noticed is these pitchers, Zach Wheeler in particular, they go out of their way to talk about how important he is, how valuable he is. Why is that? They're trying to send a message that they need him back. You know, he's going to say, why should I take a pay cut? I think it's safe to say
Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. I just saw Kieran on our YouTube chat. Is it panic stations again? Look, I'm not panicking. I'm pissed off, though. Like last night, a night like last night pisses me off. Now, I will ask the question. Do you believe the Phillies have that it factor? So, Amy, Connor, I'm not saying that they don't have it. All right, this is one of these, like, I want to hear from the people. I want to hear from you guys. Like, it's kind of hard to judge whether or not you have an it factor. That's not an attribute. It's not like you go on Madden and you look at it. What's the do you have a 99 rating for it? Like, I don't know that, but I can't help but point out getting tight in the World Series, getting tight in the NLCS, getting tight last year, getting tight last night.
I would say in the World Series year, you didn't know they had it until that wild card series.
Right.
They looked like a team that was going to come together, but during that series, that first playoff series, you thought, oh, there's something a little extra special here.
Oh, yeah.
I think that the it factor, what's the je ne sais quoi, right? The
Sure.
little like extra comes from certain players. And I think there's certain players that have that factor. The problem is I don't think all the players have that factor. I think that getting mad about a microphone when you'd already had a hit out there and you'd already gotten an RBI, like
2 runs, 2 runs.
yeah, 2 RBI, whatever. Like worrying about little things like that are going to prevent you from doing the bigger things. I've always
Right.
thought that. Like you can't worry about the minutia. And if it's something that's really going to affect you, but it's like seriously, that got in your mindset, so you had to stop the game. Stop the game.
That's why he grounded in double play.
Sure was.
Because of that.
But I mean, like, I would never say they won't have the it factor to a certain degree when you have players like Kyle Schwarber, who definitely has the it factor.
Right.
Bryce Harper has the it factor. I do think that Ranger Suarez has the it factor because he's just so calm, cool, and collected. Like his is a different it factor than like the showman.
Sure.
But the way he goes out and performs, and I would say for the most part, Christopher Sanchez. Now he didn't have his full repertoire. The guy is an incredible pitcher. He's had an incredible year. He had an off night. I
Right.
think there's some other things at play in that one, but it's overall I don't know. But yeah, it's hard for me to say no, blanket no, just because I think there are players that have that factor on the team.
Connor?
Yeah, I also can't say no because of what they did to the Atlanta Braves in 22 and 23 as underdogs, what they did to the Padres, what they did to the Marlins in the wild card series in 23. I mean, this was a team that has gone into the postseason and beaten other good opponents every time but last year. I just don't think they have it against the Mets. I think this is a team that owns them. And that doesn't mean the Phillies can't knock off other good teams. They've won the season series against the Cubs. They've played the Dodgers well. Like, they play other good teams well. They just don't play the Mets well. So if Phillies-Mets happens in the postseason, the Phillies do not have it. If Phillies play anybody else, you could argue that they do. The problem is the Mets could be there. And I hate having a team in your division that you just get beat by so damn often.
Yeah, you know what sucks?
That's what the Braves think about the Phillies.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't ever want to say I'm scared of the Mets. Like, I look at that team and I go, yeah, their lineup I think is deep. Their bullpen, you know how I felt about it when they added to it at the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't,
Yeah,
like
they
the
don't-
Padres strike fear to me, right? Like the Dodgers obviously
The
strike
Dodgers,
fear to me.
those are teams you look at and you're like, yes,
The
absolutely.
Mets, the Mets, if I wasn't a Phillies fan, if I was a Reds fan right now, man, we're right behind the Mets. That
yeah,
team's
we
not
could take care of that team,
team's
right?
not that good. We can catch up to them. But for whatever reason, as a Phillies fan, you see what they've done to you.
Yeah.
And it bothers me. And I had to see it again last night when you're up 3-0 and then the tail goes between the legs, the meltdown of Christopher Sanchez, and you mentioned it, Amy, the bullpen.
Oh.
So, Jordan Romano, look, we're going to have a conversation in the 7 o'clock hour about feeling bad for athletes, whether you do, whether you don't. I'm just going to say this flat out, and I think I'm not the first person in Philadelphia to say he needs to be DFA'd today.
It
He
was
stinks.
like there are so many problems when obviously losing Zach Wheeler was just you just thought, gosh, no, of all the players you can't lose him because if you're looking at the playoffs, that's a key.
Right.
But because of the injuries to the starting pitching, and some of the bullpen pieces, you had to. It's like you had to keep him. You're looking around the room and you're like, oh, really?
You mean to tell me
you're still here?
You mean to tell me Max Lazar can't do slightly better than Jordan Romano?
I mean, an 8.23 ERA for Romano.
8.23 ERA. And then you mentioned the Mets bullpen.
Oh,
The Phillies got to Senga yesterday. They had a good game. Senga got pulled early. And
who
then,
has an ERA well under 3?
And then they couldn't
They couldn't hit
their
Castillo.
bullpen.
They couldn't hit Stanek. They couldn't hit. All these guys are like their ERAs are 5.
Yeah, like Rogers
No,
is
Rogers
obviously
Rogers is good. But Castillo is a 5.
Helsley's been
Stanek-
bad since he got there. He was
He's
good.
like a 4+.
Yeah.
Stanek is a 5+.
And some of these guys like Stanek
They have
has had
zeros all.
Stanek has had success in the past. Like so you just hope that they didn't wake up a sleeping giant in that bullpen yesterday.
They also, it felt to me, and I hate to say
I think
this, right?
I think it was a one-off.
It felt to me like they laid down.
Oh, the Phillies?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
And I hate to question. I'm
Yeah,
not
but-
questioning
but
effort. It's just
when did they lay down? It's 3-3. The game's not over. 4-3. The game's not over. 5-3. The game's not over. You have a $600 trillion lineup, and you're laying down
You have Kyle Schwarber who can literally change the game with
with
one swing.
one swing of the bat. And if you get on base, one swing of the bat could be 3 runs.
It's because this Mets team owns them, and they know it, and the
Ew.
Mets know it. I'm
Gross.
sorry, that's reality. Mentally, the Phillies do not think they can beat this team consistently, and the Mets think they will beat them every single time.
All right. So coming up next, I got to rip someone from the Phillies. I do. I look. Everybody's on the table today. When you lose 13-3 to the team I hate more than the Dallas Cowboys and New York Giants and Boston Celtics and Pittsburgh Penguins and New Jersey Devils, the New York Mets are my number one hate. So I get a little bit amped up when stuff like last night happens. When you lose 13-3 to them. When did you lay down? Did you not lay down? Do you have the it factor? I don't know. We'll discuss it at 610-632-0975. But Bryce Harper needs to be ripped. Coming up next. Kind of out of love. I just don't want to see it again today. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
A nightmare in New York. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies had a terrible Game 1 up in New York yesterday, falling to the Mets 13-3. The Phils gave up 13 unanswered runs after holding a 3-0 lead through 3 innings. Christopher Sanchez gave up 6 runs, 5 of them earned in his worst start of the season. And it was everything bad. The offense was 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. The defense, 2 errors. The bullpen, terrible. It was just a mess, and Bryce Harper talked about it.
No, I mean, it's a good team over there. Right now it's going to play too well here. Obviously, tonight didn't go the way we wanted it to and kind of got away from them. So just got to be better, flush as quick as possible, and get ready for tomorrow.
But that's going to be a tough one to flush, and Bryce is right. They don't play well up there. The Phils have now lost 8 straight at Citi Field. They'll play the Mets again tonight at 7:10. Jesus Luzardo faces Sean Manaea. Today's roster cut-down day in the NFL. The deadline's at 4 p.m., but the Eagles already made a flurry of cuts yesterday. Included in those waived were quarterback Kyle McCord, corner Eli Ricks, and guard Kenyon Green. Green was acquired from Houston in a Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade earlier this offseason. We'll talk to Jeff McClain of the Inquirer coming up at 8:25. Anthony Sanfilippo of Von Pattison for the latest on the Phils at 9:10. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Hall of Fame sports writer Jason Stark.
This has been a streaky team.
I want to start with the biggest positive development, biggest surprise. Because I guess surprise can also go negative, but I have disappointment coming up. So your biggest surprise in a positive light.
I have a
from Cam.
few.
All right. Hit me with 2 of them.
Positive surprise, Darius Cooper, the rookie wide receiver out of Tarleton State. He was sort of buried and an afterthought when the Eagles announced their undrafted rookie free agent class. Every single day he made a play, and the moment was never too big for him. He definitely proved that he belonged, and it wasn't just the splash plays. He was consistent. And for an undrafted rookie, you see those every year. Every team has them. He can play, and I do believe that he's going to make this roster.
He's going to make the 53. If you had to look at that wide receiver room right now, who's in the 53?
I would say, obviously, A.J., Devontae, Jahan, John Mechie. We'll have to wait and see about Johnny Wilson, so I'm going to take him out of this equation for now. Anais Smith being the punt returner, and Darius Cooper, he's just shown too much. And if you already have the mindset that Jahan Dotson won't be an Eagle or potentially won't be an Eagle next year, well, Darius Cooper gives you some cost-effective depth that you can kind of develop this year.
Not underestimate how good JT has been. Since June 9th, Do you know he has the best batting average of any player in the National League? Any of them. The thing I've noticed is these pitchers, Zach Wheeler in particular, they go out of their way to talk about how important he is, how valuable he is. Why is that? They're trying to send a message that they need him back. You know, he's going to say, why should I take a pay cut? I think it's safe to say Kyle Schwarber's contract needle isn't pointing down. You know, so this is going to be a lot more expensive to keep them both. The one thing about JT is he'll be 35 next opening day. You know how many catchers in this century have started 125 games in the season at age 35 or older? It's one. Jorge Posada. Jorge Posada started 127. That was 10 years ago. Again, I think that points to a shorter deal for JT, but even if it's short, he's going to want to get paid. Are the Phillies going to be able to afford, say, $45 million to re-sign JT and Kyle Schwarber per year? I mean, they're going to free up some money with Ranger and Kepler and Romano and Joe Ross and Alvarado if they don't pick up his option. But I think you're asking me, can they afford to sign both? You should really be asking John Middleton. It's his call.
YouTube chat who's wondering what I'm about to rip Bryce Harper for. I love Bryce Harper, obviously. So this comes from a place of love and appreciation because he is a hell of a baseball player, an MVP. One of the best moments of my life was being at the NLCS Game 5 clincher against the Padres with my wife. So it goes without saying. Bryce Harper is a very special player in the city of Philadelphia. He's a very talented player in the city of Philadelphia. This team goes as he goes, and when he's going, my God, is it beautiful. So I'm going to be completely honest with you. Even though there's no social media stuff, I didn't tweet it out because I don't live my life online all the time. I hated when he walked out there with the orange batting gloves and the Mets blue and black colored cleats. I hated it. And I get it. There's probably somebody out there that's going, oh, man, it was awesome, bro. Like, that's awesome. He's sticking it to the Mets. And I was listening to the broadcast. It's funny. I was walking my dog at the time, and there's Tom McCarthy and John Kruk talking about it, and John saying, hey, I think this is definitely a point to say you could have signed me. You didn't sign me, so let me stick it to you here. And then I saw a tweet this morning, it was an article from On Pattison, and we'll be speaking with Ant Sanfilippo today at 9:10, that during a podcast with Scott Lauber in the offseason, Bryce Harper told Scott Lauber that he has rivalry edition gear.
That cannot surprise you at all.
No, it doesn't, because he's the king panderer. We know that.
Or he really buys into it.
Yeah.
It pumps him up.
Well, you can't do that and then go
yes.
1 for 4.
That's the thing. Did you hate it when you first saw it, or did you hate it because of what
I didn't like
happened?
it when I first saw it because it's just like
I reserve judgment until the end of the game.
Sometimes I don't like the fact that I think you're thinking too much other than just playing the game.
Yeah.
Like that is it's like when Sirianni, people would rip him for the shirts. I didn't care so much because look, a shirt's a shirt, but like Bryce Harper's going up to bat, and I don't know, you could see in the corner of your eye when you're standing there looking at the pitcher, oh, I got my orange batting gloves on. I got to show him up.
I don't.
Yeah.
You're overthinking this.
No, dude.
This is why they call you the senior citizen. This is absolutely yelling at
this stuff bothers me.
It does. I can tell.
Of all the stuff that went on last night, like
how about
everything
like the botched
was
rundown
bad.
or the cutoff? Maybe
I did not like it. Again, I did not like it in the top of the first inning. So this is not I'm just saying this because they lost. But now that you lose, now I'm a little bit more pissed off.
Okay, but if he wears red cleats, I'm still pissed off at him today for not throwing the ball to second base and working the runner back to first, for strikeout in a big spot where the Phillies could have extended their lead, for, like Amy just brought up, cutting off a ball that could have made a play at the plate happen. Like, he played bad last night.
Yes,
and I don't think it had anything to do with the cleats that he was wearing or the batting gloves he had on.
But now it pisses me off more, though.
Okay.
It does. It does. It pisses me off more.
No.
Like, just play baseball. All right? Like you guys need to win baseball games against the New York freaking Mets, who you don't they don't have a better roster than you. They don't. They do not have a better roster than you. But for whatever reason, they drive you crazy. And again, they could win the next 2 games, and this show will be a blip in the radar, and people can come back and say, Andrew, you overreacted, and that's fine. I would like that to happen. Last night bothered me.
I could tell. It should. Honestly, I think when you're looking at it, they can't beat the Mets right now. And it's just one of the most frustrating things because you've given yourself this big lead for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
Here we are. September is right around the corner, and you have a 6-game lead. You're thinking, this is a chance to absolutely bury that team. Just bury them. Make them, because it was not that long ago that you thought, Andrew, that the Mets were going to win the NL East.
Not long ago at all.
And so the Phillies said, not so fast, my friend. But now you're thinking, if you don't take even one win gives you a little bit more room. And then you can take care of business against the Braves and whatever else. You have another one with the Mets coming up in September.
Yeah.
But it's the way that they lost this game. I think that it's probably more problematic. If they had lost 3-2, 4-3, I would have been like, well, you know what? Sometimes you tip your cap and they have good players.
That's a rivalry game
there
right
you go.
there.
It happens. Could have gone either way.
Yeah.
But a 13-3 game when, like you said, 3-3, you're still in it. 4-3, you're in it. 5-3, you're in it. You've got the bats. You've got the manpower that should be able to get you back in the game.
Sure.
So I get what you're saying. I don't think it bothered me. I definitely paused when I first saw it because I didn't have the sound on. I was doing stuff because I had just gotten home. And I was like, is he wearing Mets colors?
Because he's trying to stick it to the opposition.
Which I kind of appreciate. If he had, backed it up.
Oh, yeah, you gotta back it up.
Now, what do you think he's going to do today? This is a thing. This is like.
He'll probably go back to
do you
it.
commit to the bit?
He'll probably go back to it.
You got to commit to the bit, right?
And by the way, if I'm the Mets, I go, that's funny. You guys are 2-5 against us this year, and we knocked you out of the playoffs. So here's another point that I want to make. And again, this is a must-win game, right? Like, I'm not trying to do that. Tonight's a gut check night, though, because you mentioned winning one game would still give you a cushion. They had a 7-game lead going into this series. You win one game, you have a 6-game lead. Yeah, damn, that sucks that you dropped 2 of 3 to the Mets. You would still be concerned that come October, if you guys face each other, man, that Mets team just seems to have your number. But if we're talking about division races and if we're talking about trying to get one of the top 2 seeds in the bye, you need to win baseball games. If you win at least one, that's great. But I don't want it to be after losing the first 2. Tonight is a gut check game. Last night, I watched the team go up 3-0, allow the lead to disappear, 3-3, 4-3, 5-3 to 13-3. And a team that just had their head down. There's a photo of Bryce Harper almost in fetal position on the ground. Like, I don't need to see that stuff. And if they come back tonight with a lackluster performance, I've watched them sleepwalk against this Mets team this year. So this is not just a last night thing. Remember in the beginning of the season when you got swept by the Mets, which I thought was an absolute embarrassment considering what they did to you in the playoffs last year. I know that this is just one game tonight, but I can make this game a gut check night where I need to see the question today at 610-632-0975. Do you believe the Phillies have the it factor? Do you worry that they may not have the it factor? Tonight's one of those games where I go, I'll find out a lot about what this team is made of if they go out there and put their foot on the throats of the New York Mets. If they go out there and have a performance like last night, where it looks like they're just sleepwalking through in New York at Citi Field, I'm going to be pretty concerned about this team moving forward.
Well, and the thing is, and I appreciate that Bryce Harper recognizes the rivalry is a big deal, and this is his way of recognizing that. I appreciate that. But at the same time, to your point, you have to back it up. You can't have all the swagger out there and don't walk the walk.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can talk it all you want. So I think for them, and that's when you talk about the it factor, I think that he always has it because there's somebody that said it on the chat, like, when's he going to have another big hit? Like, I'm never going to doubt him until he causes me to doubt him.
Right.
And he's not caused me. I get that he's had his cold moments. He's coming back from injury, but there's certainly times this season where he has stepped up.
It's so amazing that he could reach 30 home runs, which will be amazing for the season that we've watched.
But they've got guys that have that. You just want everybody it to permeate through. Like Kyle Schwarber, I can't imagine being on a team that has a guy like that and you don't want to rise up and raise your level of game.
Right.
And come to the ballpark every day prepared to win. Because Kyle Schwarber certainly is prepared to win every single day. And he approaches the games. I mean, how many times have you heard him say, like, we're never out of it? Because that's what he believes. He knows he can change the game with one swing. So I don't like when guys get bogged down with nonsense like Alec Boehm did, because I'm thinking, you've got guys back there that are willing to do whatever it takes, and you've got guys that you've sent down that are willing to do whatever it takes, and you're worried about minutia.
Right.
Don't do that.
No.
That's going to gets in your head. Like much as like you're talking about like the 10 minutes that it take. Maybe it took Sanchi out of whatever rhythm, but doesn't it take everybody else? What are we worrying about here?
Like I
It would take me out of my own rhythm.
I would literally sit there and go, yo, Bomer,
What are we doing, dude?
you scored 3 runs in the first 3 innings of this ball game.
Yeah, we're fine.
And you're worried about
A microphone?
Like, what are you doing? One more note before we go to break, because we're going to check our text line for the first time next segment, Amy. And I'm curious to see what that looks like. It's 610-632-0975. Maybe I just haven't been watching closely enough all season long. Guys, I've been watching closely all season long. When did Max Kepler not have an arm? His throws yesterday, I get it. He was playing right field.
That's tougher. It's because he was in left field. It was disguised. You couldn't see it.
His throws.
Left field is by far, there's metrics. I think you've talked about this.
I'm watching him charging on a base hit
Coming up.
and barely getting it to Bryce Harper, the cutoff man. And then there's a sac fly where, first off, he doesn't run to his spot. He's, backpedaling, catches it. And it's just like,
Yeah,
when did that happen? Did I miss something?
I think you just haven't seen him that much in right.
Oh, my God. This is the outfield that we're, so confident in. All right, coming up next, we'll check our text line for the first time this morning. I know I made a promise to not be Debbie Downer yesterday. Well, the Mets do this to me. All right, I hate the freaking Mets with a burning passion. And I don't like it when the Phillies lose to them. I don't like it even more when the Phillies get embarrassed by them. And they were embarrassed by them last night. Text line for the first time coming up next. It is Kincade and Salciunas. Amy in for Johnny today. Johnny will be back next week here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Philly fans, you are the best sports fans.
Development, biggest surprise? Because I guess surprise can also go negative, but I have disappointment coming up. So your biggest surprise in a positive light.
I have a
from Cam.
few.
All right. Hit me with 2 of them.
Positive surprise, Darius Cooper, the rookie wide receiver out of Tarleton State. He was sort of buried and an afterthought when the Eagles announced their undrafted rookie free agent class. Every single day he made a play, and the moment was never too big for him. He definitely proved that he belonged, and it wasn't just the splash plays. He was consistent. And for an undrafted rookie, you see those every year. Every team has them. He can play, and I do believe that he's going to make this roster.
He's going to make the 53. If you had to look at that wide receiver room right now, who's in the 53?
I would say, obviously, AJ, Devontae, Jahan, John Mechie. We'll have to wait and see about Johnny Wilson, so I'm going to take him out of this equation for now. Anais Smith being the punt returner, and Darius Cooper, he's just shown too much. And if you already have the mindset that Jahan Dotson won't be an Eagle or potentially won't be an Eagle next year, well, Darius Cooper gives you some cost-effective depth that you can kind of develop this year.
Not underestimate how good JT has been. Since June 9th, he has the best batting average of any player in the National League? Any of them. The thing I've noticed is these pitchers, Zach Wheeler in particular, they go out of their way to talk about how important he is, how valuable he is. Why is that? They're trying to send a message that they need him back. He's going to say, why should I take a pay cut? I think it's safe to say Kyle Schwarber's contract needle isn't pointing down. So this is going to be a lot more expensive to keep them both. The one thing about JT is he'll be 35 next opening day. You know how many catchers in this century have started 125 games in the season at age 35 or older? It's one. Jorge Posada. Wow. Started 127. That was 10 years ago. Again, I think that points to a shorter deal for JT, but even if it's short, he's going to want to get paid. Are the Phillies going to be able to afford, say, $45 million to re-sign JT and Kyle Schwarber per year? I mean, they're going to free up some money with Ranger and Kepler and Romano and Joe Ross and Alvarado if they don't pick up his option. But I think you're asking me, can they afford to sign both? You should really be asking John Middleton. It's his call.
A couple of moments in yesterday's game that we've been talking about, Amy and I, during the break, because the show has continued during the commercial break.
Connor comes in to give his thoughts as well.
Bryce Harper, Mr. Cleats, and orange batting gloves yesterday. You and I talked about it during the break. Why did he cut off Max Kepler's noodle throw? Because it was it was very weak coming in, but
right. It was going to bounce. You give JT a chance.
There's a play at the plate now.
Yeah, make the play at the plate.
I think he's the runner safe, but
let's find out.
And when Harper cut it off, everyone kind of looked at him.
It was weird that no one acknowledged it.
Yeah.
Though. I mean,
Nobody
they looked
did.
at it kind of like you could see JT standing up, ready for it.
Yeah.
And then he sees there was an angle. I think they had on one of the replays, and he sees it was cut off, and he kind of just put his hands down. I was like, oh, that's kind of a
right.
I get it.
And then another moment when you're playing good baseball at this point. When Alec Boehm drives in the 2 runs, right, with the 2-run single, he's on first base. And I have it confirmed. There's 2 outs in the inning.
Okay.
Brandon Marsh hits that double.
To right, correct?
Yes. How Boehm isn't being sent home?
I get that he's not the fastest guy, but
he's at third when Soto's picking the ball up. Because Marsh put it in a spot where
it was a great spot. It was a great hit. He's a double. There's no reason he shouldn't be scoring on that.
Especially with 2 outs, let's go.
Yeah, but then you could see Boston's all the way down, full hands up, and I'm like, oh.
And not to
you don't want to tack on a little bit?
Not to keep attacking the guy, but is it if Schwarber's up on deck or
right.
Harper's on deck, you go, all right.
You stop at third.
It's Max Kepler. I know he's been playing decent baseball as of late.
No,
but I'm not sitting there going, we got Max next.
Oh, he'll bring him in. No worries.
It was
an RBI
yesterday
machine.
And you could have added a 4th run, maybe.
That's the thing. I feel like when you're playing the Mets, because of how the series has gone, not just this year, but obviously you can just go with this year, but you have to go back to a little bit last year too. You have to take some chances. I get that you have the big lead in the NL East, and you don't want to do anything to jeopardize that. But sometimes inaction is more action than it's not.
Right.
Right? So by not doing some of these extra little things, it kind of sends a message and is a tone setter, we're not here to stomp you out. We're not going to take these chances. Try to throw them out at home. You have JT Realmuto, a tremendous catcher.
Oh, yeah.
Take your chances.
I watched that man jump, catch,
and tag.
Apply a tag.
So he's not going to miss the ball. Worst case scenario, he comes up and he doesn't get to apply a tag, but at least you made the effort. So that sends a message to the Mets, all right, well, they're going to play aggressive. Cutting it off, that was kind of
lame. By the way, the Mets, going back to the Kepler thing, anytime the ball was hit out there, they were sending their base runner.
Of course you would.
They had a scouting report.
They saw that.
And they said, hey, this guy's not throwing anybody
out. The scouting
out.
report had eyeballs the first inning. I'm like, oh.
Any time there was a runner on second base, if it was a base hit, they were sending, there wasn't even a second thought. It was send him home. All right. What do we got on the text line? I'm curious what the tone of the fans are today. The question whether or not you believe this team has that it factor. But if you just want to talk about Phillies Mets as well, feel free at 610-632-0975. I'm in a bad way today because I hate the Mets that much. What do we got?
Joe checks in and says the Phillies collectively don't have the it factor, and it starts with the manager that's too laid back and doesn't put pressure on them to prepare them for big moments.
Now, look, I don't know about I don't know what Rob Thompson does leading up to a game. So, like, I don't necessarily know, but I get maybe what he's saying about the attitude and maybe the laissez-faire approach to things. And we see it every single day. And some days I think it benefits the team.
Right.
Because it's a long season and you don't want to be on top of your players for 162 games. But then there's some times where you got to pull the hard-ass card. Or there are some times where you got to pull a guy out for defensive purposes and then continue to do it and not pee yourself when Nick Castellanos gets upset. Like, I love Rob Thompson. I work with John every day. John's very critical of Rob. It almost gets to the point of the Embiid discussion sometimes between he and I. I don't have that much love for Rob Thompson as I do JoJo. But when it comes to Topper, like I'm a Rob Thompson fan, and I think he gets unfairly criticized for a lot of things, but I also think he gets fairly criticized for things. We did a whole show on it last week, and a night like last night, maybe it is part of the attitude that comes from the manager. Like this. I don't know. Did he give some impassionate speech? I don't know. Does it even matter? Who knows?
You have to, but there are tone setters. And when you see your team unraveling, it's like when you watch hockey. All right, things are going sideways. You know a big fight's coming just to try to get something going your way, right? So I'm not saying like you get tossed, because I think that in basketball you do that. And I'm just going to get tossed. Okay, great. Maybe not always the answer, but you can still get a little bit fired up. You can still call your guys on the carpet in a way that's not overly demonstrative, but still sends the message.
And by the way, 5-3, game's not over.
No.
I don't need to see.
It is over when Jordan Romano comes in.
How many times have I said this now? I don't need to see Jordan Romano pitch for the Phillies.
Difference.
Like, what? Why are we still doing this?
Because they don't have any more people.
Do you have the old Topper audio? All right, so the last blow up from Jordan Romano, which by the way was 7 days ago, because that was the last time he pitched, or was this August 13th? I don't know which one.
This audio is from Wednesday last week.
All right, this is Wednesday of last week, because on August 13th against the Reds, 4 earned runs allowed. Then he had a great 1/3 of an inning performance against the Nationals. 2 earned runs against the Mariners a week ago. And then 4 earned runs yesterday. Another long ball given up. His ERA is now 8.23. This was Rob Thompson just last week talking about why Jordan Romano is still on this baseball team.
It's funny, I was looking at it today. He either shuts people down or he gives up 2 or 3 runs. You know, give a lot early in the season. And a lot of tough luck, too, really. You know, you look at last night, he gives up a jam shot, base hit. And then guy fights him and fights him and fights him, and he leaves a slider in his wheelhouse and hits it over the fence. And it just seems like it's been one of those years, but it's still good stuff. He gets swing and miss when he's on. And, you know, and he's actually done a pretty good job at killing innings, coming in with traffic and getting out of it. So, I mean, I like it.
Look.
He kills innings, that's for sure.
Yeah, kills games.
I defended Topper for it last week because John was furious, and I was like, "Look, what do you want him to say? What do you expect him to say?" But just don't question my intelligence, right? Or don't make me question my intelligence when you say stuff like that, because to say he's either shutting teams out or not. Like, no, I need bullpen guys to shut teams out and not the or not. Like, I don't need the or not when it comes to your name.
Like, if you're a starting pitcher, you can get a little bit,
And look, if this was May, all right, like,
they'll work.
Yeah. It's August 26th.
ERA north of 8.
His ERA is almost the date. His
Really?
ERA is 8.23.
Good call.
Today's 8.26. Like, that's how it's been like this all season long. And my only belief is that Dave Dombrowski is saying, "Sorry, Topper,
I got nothing.
You can't make me look bad.
Nothing.
He's got to be on the line. He's got to be on the roster because I paid him $10+ million." And if that's the case, then shame on you, Dave Dombrowski. Honestly, I need Dave Dombrowski to talk about it.
Yeah, because he's the reason. Because everything that Topper just said is all about metrics. Oh, swings and misses.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
The eyeball test is the guy is terrible.
The problem is there's not as many swings as misses as there are swings and home runs.
He either gets a shutdown inning or he gets lit up. You don't say.
ERA.
You don't say.
God. All right, we'll get more text messages next. I'm sorry. I'm all
That's
on
good.
today.
Yeah, we shouldn't talk about Romano.
Well, no. I'm going to ask a question.
I know. It's It's tough.
A question about feeling bad for athletes comes your way next as well. It's Kincade Salciunas, Amy in for John here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phils punked by the Mets. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies had an awful Game 1 up in New York yesterday, falling to the Mets 13-3. Those 13 runs unanswered after the Phillies held a 3-0 lead through 3 innings. Christopher Sanchez gave up 6 runs, 5 of them earned in his worst start of the season. The offense was also 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. The defense, 2 errors. The bullpen, bad. Everything went wrong for the Phillies, and it seems like that's par for the course up at Citi Field. Bryce Harper talked about that place.
No, I mean, it's a good team over there. Right now, it's going to play too well here. Obviously, tonight didn't go the way we wanted it to, and kind of got away from them. So, just got to be better, flush it as quick as possible, and get ready for tomorrow.
And Bryce is right. The Phils have not played well up there. They've now lost 8 straight at Citi Field. They'll play the Mets again tonight at 7:10. Jesus Luzardo faces Sean Manaea. Today is roster cut-down day in the NFL. The deadline's 4 p.m., but the Eagles already made some moves, cutting some folks yesterday. Included in those waves were quarterback Kyle McCord, corner Eli Ricks, and guard Kenyon Green. Green was acquired from Houston earlier this offseason in the CJ-GJ trade. We'll talk to Jeff McClain of the Inquirer at 8:25, Anthony Sanfilippo of On Pattison at 9:10. This update's brought to you by Rapid Radios. Their instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies with nationwide LTE coverage. For a limited time, get 60% off and free UPS shipping at rapidradios.com. Use code RADIO for an extra 5% off. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
I want to start with the biggest positive development, biggest surprise. Because I guess surprise can also go negative, but I have disappointment coming up. So your biggest surprise in a positive light.
I have a
from camp.
few.
All right. Hit me with 2 of them.
Positive surprise, Darius Cooper, the rookie wide receiver out of Tarleton State. He was sort of buried and an afterthought when the Eagles announced their undrafted rookie free agent class. Every single day he made a play, and the moment was never too big for him. He definitely proved that he belonged, and it wasn't just the splash plays. He was consistent. And for an undrafted rookie, you see those every year. Every team has them. He can play, and I do believe that he's going to make this roster.
He's going to make the 53. If you had to look at that wide receiver room right now, who's in the 53?
I would say, obviously, AJ, Devontae, Jahan, John Mechie. We'll have to wait and see about Johnny Wilson, so I'm going to take him out of this equation for now. Anais Smith being the punt returner, and Darius Cooper, he's just shown too much. And if you already have the mindset that Jahan Dotson won't be an Eagle or potentially won't be an Eagle next year, well, Darius Cooper gives you some cost-effective depth that you can kind of develop this year.
Not underestimate how good JT has been. Since June 9th, he has the best batting average of any player in the National League? Any of them. The thing I've noticed is these pitchers, Zach Wheeler in particular, they go out of their way to talk about how important he is, how valuable he is. Why is that? They're trying to send a message that they need him back. He's going to say, why should I take a pay cut? I think it's safe to say Kyle Schwarber's contract needle isn't pointing down. So this is going to be a lot more expensive to keep them both. The one thing about JT is he'll be 35 next opening day. You know how many catchers in this century have started 125 games in the season at age 35 or older? It's one.
One?
Jorge Posada started 127. That was 15 years ago. Again, I think that points to a shorter deal for JT, but even if it's short, he's going to want to get paid. Are the Phillies going to be able to afford, say?
Fine, I get it. You're salty.
Today I'm very salty, and looking at the money line for tonight's game, because why wouldn't I check FanDuel at 6:55 in the morning? It's FanDuel Futures Day, Amy. Jesus Luzardo versus Sean Manaea, both even, minus 108 on the money line. So during the break, we talked about how Sean Manaea is bad against every team but the Phillies. And then Connor said, well, the Mets are bad against every team except for the Phillies. You're not totally off base. So the Mets have swept the season series against 3 teams. The Colorado Rockies, they went 6-0 against. The Angels 3-0, the Blue Jays 3-0. I don't know if they're going to play those teams again. I don't have the schedule in front of me. But right now, as of this point of the season, they are undefeated against 3 teams this season. Their next best win-loss percentage based off of their opponents is a 7-1-4. They have that against the Cardinals and the Philadelphia Phillies.
Of course they do.
Every other team, it's like 2-1 or below 500.
Yeah, against bad teams, too.
Yeah.
Teams that are
Yeah.
really below them in the
They
standings.
are 5-2 against the Phillies this season, and they beat you in the playoffs last year. They swept you earlier in the season. There's something about this baseball team that the Phillies just can't figure out, and that's why I question whether or not they have the it factor, and I want people to chime in on that at 610-632-0975. Now, just to let you guys know, we have a lot of football stuff that we're going to get to throughout the course of the show, so it's not just going to be all Phillies Mets, but my God, could I spend 4 hours on that game today, but I won't do that for you. But to start the 7 o'clock hour in a few minutes, I have a question about the human feelings of athletes. Well, what do we got on the text line before we get to that, Connor?
Oh, man, we got a lot of stuff on the text line. Zach from Florida checks in on the it factor conversation, says there's a difference between being a good team and having the it factor. Phillies are a good team. They win a lot of games, but they don't have the it factor. The it factor makes you think there's an outside force helping the team, like magic. The Phillies feel like they have to fight for everything. You either need to be in a league of your own, like the Eagles were this last year, or you need some magic, and this squad doesn't have either one.
Now, look, I can't say that they have no magic when they swept the Mariners a couple of days ago, right?
It's a good team.
But I get what the guy's saying. Like, they're a good baseball. If the Phillies are a good baseball team, I will continue to say it till I'm blue in the face. This Phillies team, I may hate their bullpen and I hate their outfield, but ultimately they are a good baseball team. You don't just win 90 games, right? Like, you don't stink and win 90 games. But there might be something more to it. Like, when I sit there and I go, all right, I want to try to forget my Phillies fandom for a second. I look at the teams in the National League. I look at the teams in the American League where I go, that is a true contender. That is a team where if I'm the opposition, I go, damn, I'm worried about that. I always use the Padres as the example. Man, that lineup scares me. And my God, do I not want to be trailing after 5 innings because that bullpen could shut us down. Right now, when it comes to the Phillies, like, I have to rely. Connor said yesterday at one point during the show, when we were talking about the Padres bullpen, you're like, well, the Phillies have Turner, Schwarber, Harper. Not many better 1-2-3s, or not many better 1-2-3s in Major League Baseball. And you're right. But my response to Connor was, well, what happens when 4, 5, 6 are coming up the bat?
Exactly.
Or 7, 8, 9, or 6, 7, 8, or
then
8, 9, 1. But
the
maybe
bullpen
Turner
comes
gets
in
out.
and you're
Right.
6-0, and all of a sudden now it's 8-6.
Right. Like I look at this team and I get concerned.
I think they had a fear factor. I think that it took a hit when Wheeler went down, because I think a lot of teams still thought, like, wow, here's a guy that when he's on, you can't hit Zach Wheeler. They've seen it. They've seen it for a couple of years now.
Right.
That took a hit. It's always going to have a fear factor when you've got those 3 in your lineup. And I think that you have other guys that have been hitting well.
Sure.
So you can't have a complete out anymore with Brandon Marsh. I think that's great.
Right, absolutely.
Perfect. JT Realmuto has been hitting better. Fine. All well and good. But the fear factor is lost when you have guys in the bullpen that you know that you can hit. Like, there is no doubt about it. And then if you figure you can do like what the Phillies did to the Mets, you take the top half of their lineup out, why wouldn't you win that game?
Right.
I mean, like you said it on paper. You look at what the Phillies did to the Mets' first 4, they should have won. You should win that game if you keep their guys to 2 hits in their first 4 batters.
Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous.
And if you continue to hit, which you didn't.
Well, it is 9 innings.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
the key.
You gotta
the 9 innings
you got to keep playing. And oh, by the way, one more. I'm going to say it one more time. As you're listening to 97.5, the Fanatic, WPEN, HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, A. Beasley Media Group Station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. Amy, you weren't in the day after the Alvarado ovation. Yeah. I got grilled online when I questioned why we're giving a guy who's ineligible for the playoffs an ovation, and I did say at one point the day after, it's well and good if you wanted to give him an ovation to show support. But everyone that stood up and everyone that approved of it, I do not want to hear you complain about if Jordan Romano has to pitch an inning in the playoffs.
Because Jose Alvarado is the reason why.
Like they
had a very good reliever.
There might be a chance that you're going to have to see Jordan Romano, despite his 8.23 ERA in the playoffs.
But
Because
there shouldn't be a chance we ever see him pitch for this team again.
You're right. I agree, but
watch it.
Talk to your Pobo.
I am right now. Dave Dombrowski, DFA this man now. And I know we're going to have a conversation about the person, and that's all well and good.
There's got to be something else.
He's not good enough to pitch on a major league mound. Get him off the team.
All right, let's have a conversation about the person. So yesterday, I put out the following. Romano has to be DFA'd. There is literally no more excuses. He can't even pitch up in mop-up duty, which even though 5-3 is not really mop-up, but he made it mop-up duty. I said at this point, I feel bad that they keep trotting him out there. And the amount of people that were not happy that I mentioned the I feel bad part. So last year, when Taijuan Walker was having a really bad season, and look, credit to Taijuan Walker even more so for his bounce back this year. Last year, I said on this show that I felt bad for Taijuan Walker. Not because he was having a bad season, but because I kind of respected him that he kept taking the ball. I did. Like, when you're pitching that bad.
Eat these innings, friend.
And that was it. Like, it's one thing if you're Romano and you're going out there for 1 inning and you suck. It's another thing if Taijuan Walker's getting crushed in the 2nd and 3rd inning.
You got to eat more.
But Topper's going, dude.
We just burnt the bullpen last.
Sorry, bro. I need you to go 6th.
Sorry.
And to his credit,
he would go out there.
He would do it. And maybe in the back of his mind, he's thinking, regardless of how bad I'm pitching, I am still doing my team a service by pitching 6 innings. Now, I could say the same thing about a position player who pitches the last 2 innings of a baseball game. It's horrible. It's ugly. It's embarrassing. I like Ricky Bottalico's idea that if you do that, you should automatically just forfeit the rest of the game. But you're doing a service to your team, technically, by eating up 2 innings and not making one of your bullpen arms pitch in a mop-up role. I do, at some point, feel bad for a guy who had a pretty good career, had a major injury, which he did, and has been nothing like he was pre-injury this season. Now, I can quickly remember that he's getting paid $10 million, which a lot of people pointed out yesterday. Like, why are you feeling bad for a guy that's getting paid $10 million?
And that's where when you go back to Walker, yes, he's doing his job and he's doing a service. He's paid handsomely for it, for doing a really bad version of his job.
Yeah.
Pretty handsomely, pretty bad version. That was last year. I wonder, like, what the psyche is. And I've talked to Ricky about this. Like, when you know you don't have it, he's like, you just go out there and do it, which I appreciate. And Ricky obviously never had, like, the stuff that you're looking at with Romano.
Right.
But do you think when they call out there and he just
damn it
looks at the phone and is just like, damn it.
Yeah.
This is not going to go.
Let's see if the new haircut did something.
That's it. Yeah, just like Sam said, he's all set now. But for me, that says a lot because I think he probably does have that moment, whether he wants to admit it or not.
Right.
You have to have somewhat of a sinking feeling. Or are you eternally optimistic / delusional and think, no, this is the day.
This is the time.
Rob Thompson believes in me, and I'm going to reward that belief.
Like, you've also noticed it. Like the last, maybe I've just noticed it the last 2 outings. Maybe it was happening before. The last 2 outings where he's given up a home run, one against the Mariners a week ago, and then last night against the Mets. The second the ball is going off the bat, he's putting
exactly.
And
it reminds me of JT, that head down meme or whatever.
Right, rolling the eyes with Jared Hughes. Was it Jared Hughes or Phil Hughes?
Jared Hughes.
And like, I've had the conversation about Embiid. Now Embiid is sometimes his own worst enemy, but like I do feel bad for a guy that can't stay healthy. Like, for a lot
Agreed.
of it, that isn't his issue. But then people will go, why do you feel bad for a guy that's making $40 million a year and has made close to $1 billion
They
in his
want
career?
to do well inherently.
That's
they're unable
that's
to
something
at
that I realize. I think a lot of people fail to realize at times because you want blood, right? You're angry.
You want a reason for it.
Now look, ultimately, if Jordan Romano got DFA'd today, I wouldn't feel bad that he got DFA'd because, oh, by the way, him being DFA'd does not mean he loses any sort of financial gain. Like, he still gets paid. So, like, he'll be fine. And I won't worry about his family. Like, I just, like, at some point, I go, oh, my God, dude, they're doing this. They're making him go out there again. Like, I can't watch this happen anymore.
I feel worse watching him pitch than I would if he got DFA'd. DFA'd is sweet release for Jordan Romano at this point.
Yeah, you do wonder if he's just like, you know what? It's just not happening for me right now.
Yeah, and like, listen,
this ain't it.
I know how social media can be. I know how his mentions probably are and whatever he's on.
It's horrible. I can only imagine.
People go too far, and that's messed up, and you feel for the player in that instance. But in the pure baseball sense, it is better for him to not be on this baseball team for his psyche and everything, and ours too, than for him to continue to be trotted out there, get shelled, and then get more reaction from this fan base, rightfully so if you're being rational, about his bad performance this year.
And by the way, I need this to be out there even though it's going to fall on deaf ears. This isn't a Philadelphia thing. Like, this isn't like I imagine if he was pitching for the Cubs right now and his ERA was 8.23.
They would wonder why he's still on the team.
Yeah, like, this isn't a Philadelphia. You guys are alys angry, but no, he stinks.
Like Mets, Yankees, anyone.
He is a bad
not
pitcher.
Anyone. If he was on the A's, they probably wouldn't notice.
That's
true.
a good
Or
point.
Rockies, they wouldn't notice.
The Rockies, they'd say, it's the altitude. That's why.
No, it happens. 8-0. That's a blip for the Rockies.
He'd be a great Rocky.
There you go.
I need Dave Dombrowski, not behind a microphone, not in front of a camera. I need Dave Dombrowski to come see me face to face and explain to me why Jordan Romano's on the team.
Yeah, you're not asking too much there.
Can we just meet? Let's just have.
I need to know, like, when there's no microphones and no worries about disappointing players or disappointing agents or anything like that. I need to know the truth from Dave Dombrowski why he's still on the baseball team. And I need to know, is it because you don't want to look bad by DFAing a guy that you paid $10 million? But let me tell you something, Dave. You look bad having him on the roster.
Looks worse. It looks worse.
Yeah, because now we're all saying the same thing.
You're not admitting to the mistake.
We're all saying the same thing. We're all saying he's only on the team because of the money.
And if that's not the reason, you need to give one, because that's absolutely the reason. But you got to cut your losses.
You have to. The Eagles do it.
Yeah.
All the time.
Which they didn't used to, and now they learned from that.
Speaking of the Eagles, how about that?
That's a good segue.
Coming up next, we'll give you an update on some of the roster cuts the Eagles have made, because today at 4 o'clock, each team in the NFL has to have their 53-man roster finalized. We'll update you on what the Eagles have done recently. Next, it's Kincade Salciunas, Amy for John 97.5 The Fanatic.
Join the Fanatic for the inaugural live broadcast
their way to talk about how important he is, how valuable he is. Why is that? They're trying to send a message that they need him back. He's going to say, why should I take a pay cut? I think it's safe to say Kyle Schwarber's contract needle isn't pointing down. So this is going to be a lot more expensive to keep them both. The one thing about JT is he'll be 35 next opening day. You know how many catchers in this century have started 125 games in the season at age 35 or older? It's one. Jorge Posada. Wow. Started 127. That was 15 years ago. Again, I think that points to a shorter deal for JT, but even if it's short, he's going to want to get paid. Are the Phillies going to be able to afford, say, $45 million to re-sign JT and Kyle Schwarber per year? I mean, they're going to free up some money with Ranger and Kepler and Romano and Joe Ross and Alvarado if they don't pick up his option. But I think you're asking me, can they afford to sign both? You should really be asking John Middleton. It's his call.
Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. That was the voice of John Kincade. Johnny on vacation, enjoying himself down the Jersey Shore, which is awesome. He's probably doing his walk right now with Christina, so maybe he's listening.
Maybe
I
he's
don't know.
listening.
Hello, John.
Hello.
If you are listening, turn it off and enjoy your walk. I've said that before. I remember when my parents were in Paris and they were streaming the show?
No.
I literally, respectfully, I would love all the ratings in the world. And I love that my parents support me. I said, you're in freaking Paris.
Well, it's your guys' fault. You guys have used two French phrases already. We got je ne sais quoi and laissez-faire.
Hell yeah, man.
We are big in France.
It's a high-class show.
All right,
Absolutely.
bonjour. All right,
Go
that's
pinky
4.
up for the next segment.
But anyways, I want to thank your squad, Amy, of NBC Sports Philadelphia with the roster tracker. I appreciate it because it's hard to follow all the social media of who got released, who got traded. Roster tracker on NBCSportsPhiladelphia.com is just amazing. So some of the moves, I'll give you the players of note, with all due respect to like Keelan Robinson. I don't think many people know who that is. Eli Ricks was released yesterday.
Surprise.
Which is interesting because he's been on this team for 2 years now. He knows the system with Vic Fangio. He knows the system even before Vic Fangio got here because this system was the Vic Fangio system. But obviously, if he's being released, that means Vic Fangio did not like what he saw out of him. They traded for Jacorian Bennett, which probably did not help him. And they drafted McWilliams in the 5th round. It's McWilliams, right?
McWilliams.
Yeah. They drafted him in the 5th round. So they're going to give another young guy a shot, who, by the way, they clearly think highly of him by all the reports and what they say about him in the press conferences. But that was kind of an interesting one, at least a name, a recognizable name of a player being released. Our man, Andrew DeCecco, I look, he's a football guy, but football guys have emotion too. E.J. Jenkins released yesterday, which is a tough loss for Mr. DeCecco. Now, he could, I imagine he goes to the practice squad.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Obviously guys have to clear waivers.
Yeah, I mean, he's 26 years old. I don't know how many people were clamoring for a 26-year-old tight end. But the reason why DeCecco thought he would make the team is because of the injury to Johnny Wilson. Mm-hmm. Johnny Wilson was such a big blocker in the passing game as a wide receiver. Yeah.
I think Darius Cooper's going to be the guy that...
Right, but like Grant Calcaterra doesn't block.
No.
Right, so, and when Goddard's hurt...
Right, which invariably...
Which happens a lot. So
seems to happen.
I wonder, he'll probably make it to the practice squad, and he'll be around. Terrace Marshall, who a lot of people were kind of curious by, wide receiver from the Panthers. He was a former second-round pick. He got the knee injury in camp, and their wide receiver room's set. Like it's A.J. Brown, it's Devontae Smith, it's Jahan Dotson. You bring in Mechie, and then Cooper's had a pretty damn good camp, so you're going to think that it's him. Montrell Johnson, running back that a lot of people liked. He had the touchdown in the final preseason game, but your running back room is set. Like a lot of these moves,
They're
You
more like,
understood all.
yeah, kind of like the Eli Ricks, just because he had been there long enough, but because he had been there, of all the guys that you've named, he obviously had the longest tenure, which goes back to only a couple of years. But that says a lot, the fact that he had been there and Vic Fangio had seen it now for 2 years and thought, nah, I'm good.
Now, I know a lot of people were high on Kyle McCord, but
I don't. Who?
there are people. You know, he was drafted by the Eagles, 6th round pick. So he got drafted, but he got released. Look, once Howell gets traded for, by the way,
That was it.
By the way, they needed to trade for him.
Because they don't know Tanner McKee with his finger issue, the injury.
If he's not available week 1.
And if something,
like Dorian Thompson-Robinson may be the worst quarterback I've ever seen play in the NFL, and he's actually taken NFL snaps. He was obviously released by the Eagles right when they made the trade for Howell.
Right.
And you're not going to keep 4 quarterbacks.
Unless you're the
what are you,
Browns.
the Cleveland Browns?
Or the Giants. Who knows?
Actually, no, the Browns, they traded Pickett last night.
They're down to 3.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. I woke up this morning.
Pickett with the odd man out.
to Shefty alerts. Like, I woke up to, you get all the notifications.
Kenny Pickett probably thought he was going to have a chance to actually start out there, and he gets jettisoned. That's amazing.
That's a team. And look, bad organizations are bad organizations. That's a team that makes no sense. They traded for Kenny Pickett.
I know.
Brought back Joe Flacco, drafted 2 quarterbacks, have already made it clear that they might draft another quarterback with one of their top picks.
They're the
next
opposite of a quarterback factory. They produce them, but it's the worst factory known to man.
Yeah, they need a recall on the quarterback factory.
It's amazing that they're still allowed to operate as a quarterback factory because
OSHA
of all
violations.
The recalls, the defections.
Right.
Just there's so many defects in there. They had one quarterback one time, Baker Mayfield, and they said, "No, we're good.
we don't like him.
We don't like winning. This is unusual. Go away."
We want Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, let's do that and give him a guaranteed contract.
That was just
It's weird because it's such a winning organization with all those Super Bowls and playoff victories that they have over the years.
They gave a guaranteed contract to a guy that was having legitimate legal issues.
Multiple legal issues, not just one
fully guaranteed, historic contract.
It's amazing. It's a wonder. It's Browns.
My God.
Well done, Browns.
So there's your update on the Eagles roster. It has to be to 53 players
NBC
by
Sports
4 o'clock
Philadelphia. You gotta
today.
check it out.
Yep, check out NBC Sports Philadelphia's roster tracker. And of course, our man Angie Pacheco, who's been all over the place reporting on it. Dave Zangaro of NBC Sports Philadelphia. It's been
They're
great.
all over it. I love it.
So it continues 4 o'clock today. Now, coming up, speaking of the Eagles, they had a very busy weekend of trades, as we know. We mentioned Sam Howell being one of them. Yesterday, it was the rest of the league's turn to make news. Here are the latest contracts that were settled and one that still hasn't been, as we are closer and closer to week 1 for the Eagles and Cowboys. September 4th. It's Kincade and Salciunas. Amy in for John, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
The Mets rout the Phillies. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies, they had an awful game 1 up in New York yesterday, falling to the Mets 13-3. The Phils gave up 13 unanswered runs after holding a 3-0 lead through 3 innings. Christopher Sanchez gave up 6 runs, 5 of them earned in his worst start of the season. And the offense, 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. The defense, 2 errors. The bullpen, terrible performance. It was just bad all around. It's been like that at Citi Field for a while. Bryce Harper talked about that place after.
No, I mean, it's a good team over there. Right now, we don't play too well here. Obviously, tonight didn't go the way we wanted it to, and kind of got away from them. So, just got to be better, flush it as quick as possible, and get ready for tomorrow.
And Bryce is right. Yeah, they haven't played well there lately. The Phils have now lost 8 straight at Citi Field. They'll play the Mets again tonight at 7:10. Jesus Luzardo faces Sean Manaea. Today is roster cutdown day in the NFL. Deadline's 4 p.m. this afternoon, but the Eagles already made some moves yesterday, included in those waived were quarterback Kyle McCord, corner Eli Ricks, and guard Kenyon Green, who was acquired from Houston in the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade. We'll talk to Jeff McClain of the Inquirer at 8:25. Anthony Sanfilippo of Vaughn Pattison at 9:10. This update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Looking for an exceptional driving experience? Experience the power, precision, and intelligence of an iconic Mercedes-Benz SUV at your local Mercedes-Benz dealer today. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Philadelphia Sport.
I want to start with the biggest positive development, biggest surprise. Because I guess surprise can also go negative, but I have disappointment coming up. So your biggest surprise in a positive light.
I have a
from Cam.
few.
All right. Hit me with two of them.
Positive surprise, Darius Cooper, the rookie wide receiver out of Tarleton State. He was sort of buried and an afterthought when the Eagles announced their undrafted rookie free agent class. Every single day he made a play, and the moment was never too big for him. He definitely proved that he belonged, and it wasn't just the splash plays. He was consistent. And for an undrafted rookie, you see those every year. Every team has them. He can play, and I do believe that he's going to make this roster.
He's going to make the 53. If you had to look at that wide receiver room right now, who's in the 53?
I would say, obviously, AJ, Devontae, Jahan, John Mechie. We'll have to wait and see about Johnny Wilson, so I'm going to take him out of this equation for now. Anais Smith being the punt returner, and Darius Cooper, he's just shown too much. And if you already have the mindset that Jahan Dotson won't be an Eagle or potentially won't be an Eagle next year, well, Darius Cooper gives you some cost-effective depth that you can kind of develop this year.
Not underestimate how good JT has been. Since June 9th, he has the best batting average of any player in the National League? Any of them. The thing I've noticed is these pitchers, Zach Wheeler in particular, they go out of their way to talk about how important he is, how valuable he is. Why is that? They're trying to send a message that they need him back. He's going to say, why should I take a pay cut? I think it's safe to say Kyle Schwarber's contract needle isn't pointing down. So this is going to be a lot more expensive to keep them both. The one thing about JT is he'll be 35 next opening day. You know how many catchers in this century have started 125 games in the season at age 35 or older? It's one. Jorge Posada. Started 127. That was 15 years ago. Again, I think that points to a shorter deal for JT, but even if it's short, he's going to want to get paid. Are the Phillies going to be able to afford, say, $45 million to re-sign JT and Kyle Schwarber per year? I mean, they're going to free up some money with Ranger and Kepler and Romano and Joe Ross and Alvarado if they don't pick up his option. But I think you're asking me, can they afford to sign both? You should really be asking John Middleton. It's his call.
Couple of text messages because I'm going to get into some football stuff here, but I don't want to just make people think we're not talking Phillies Mets because, my God, did we talk about it the first hour of this show. I am
and we'll continue to.
Not in a good mood, and I will not be in a good mood until hopefully they bounce back tonight. As I said earlier in the show, tonight is a gut check game for the Phillies. It's not a, they have to win this game or the season's over. I just need to know, if
I think they need to win one of these games.
No, they have to, but when I ask the question, and it's such a open-ended, nobody knows the real answer or there's no statistic behind it. But my question today for you to climb in at 610-632-0975 with is whether or not you believe this Phillies team has the it factor. They got to a World Series, which, look, you get to a World Series, you have the it factor. But then we saw what happened when it got tight. Same with the NLCS. Then last year happened. And now so far in 7 games against the Mets, you're 2-5 against them. The first series, you got swept in 3 games after they just embarrassed you in the playoffs last year. So that made things even worse for me that you got swept by that team. And now last night you have a 3-0 lead, and then the second the Mets tie it, you gave up. And you gave up 10 more runs after that, and you lost 13-3. So what do we got on the text line from our fellow Phillies fans this morning, Connor, before we start talking about some of the contracts that were finally worked out in the NFL yesterday and one that was not?
Jason checks in about what you were just talking about there with the giving up thing. Says you're leading the East 7 games. You go to Citi Field and play the Mets that are struggling. Had a huge opportunity to put it away and distance yourself even further. But I feel like the team just quit. There was no life. Seems like they just wanted to move on and be ready for the next game.
And look.
And that's also, you can move on, but 13.
You move on when it's 9-3.
Yeah.
When Romano gives up the home run and it's 9-3, all right, we're lacing them back up tomorrow, boys. But when it's 3-3, 4-3, 5-3.
Yeah, it seemed lifeless. You're in the 4th inning, the 5th inning, the 6th inning. You still have your horse out there. You see that he's struggling a little bit. You would think that, all right, we need to do our job here. We got to pick up Sanchez. He's picked us up numerous times. Right. Complete games, one hit, 1 run. Come on.
But you're not. Harper makes the bad throw. Bohm, I think it was a bad hop, but it was a tough play. Kepler's got no arm. Harper's cutting balls off that he probably shouldn't cut off. Like
they had the weird rundown.
Yeah, it was just an odd game yesterday for the Phillies, but it makes me wonder whether or not they have the it factor, and that's what we're discussing today at 610-632-0975. Give us another text, please.
All right, we also have a check-in here. Someone coming after Bryce a little bit because we were talking about him with the cleats and the gloves thing. This texter says Harper is overrated. Stop expecting superstar production from a guy who routinely puts up Hunter Pence numbers.
That's out. Yeah, no. Does that person have a name on their text?
No name on that one.
Yeah, shocking.
Each of their last 7 or 8 texts have been about Bryce Harper.
I mean,
and how
come
bad
on.
he is.
Come on. My favorite. That's one of my favorite things in the history of Bryce Harper being in Major League Baseball is almost, you can set your watch by it. Anytime an opposing team calls him overrated, he will go yard.
Yeah.
It is it's rote.
And to call him Hunter Pence,
one
guy's going to the Hall of Fame most likely. The other guy is
2-time
is not.
MVP.
Now,
God bless. I love us so much. I love us so much.
I don't want to be considered that guy because I ripped him for the cleats and the gloves too. I don't want to be. I don't want to be that guy.
You can't be. You are an old man.
I just look. I don't need you going out there in the Mets colored cleats and batting gloves and go 1 for 4 and make 2 boneheaded plays in the field. I can't have that happen. Like if you want to be the greatest showman, then you got to actually show up when it comes to playing.
I can't wait for him to show up today.
He better. The whole team better. The whole team better. Gut check game. I'm still waiting for the Harrison Bader FaceTime from you.
Did I texted you? You're like, I promised FaceTime. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, at least he got a hit yesterday, right?
I think so.
He's batting a whopping 250. All right. Couple of moves in the NFL yesterday, or contracts that were finally worked out. The Cincinnati Bengals finally restructured the contract of Trey Hendrickson. $14 million raise.
For 1 year.
Hey, be ready to do this all over again next year, Cincinnati.
If I'm him, obviously this is just get me to work and, pay me something fair, which for Trey Hendrickson, who has 17 sacks, is not fair.
Right.
I mean, that is on the low end because it's only $30 million. I'd say that only, but compared to other players that play his position and certainly that have the production, he is on the exceptionally low end. But you went through this whole thing for 1 year?
Yeah. Well, for a restructure.
Yeah.
Not even for an extra added year. It's just.
Yeah, that's it. You're going to do it all again. Just here's an extra $14 million.
I heard on the ESPN overnight. I don't have the details in front of me, but one of the clauses in the contract is if he leads the league in sacks again, he'll get a huge bonus. And they did say the report.
He led the league in sacks.
So the reports earlier in the week were that Trey Hendrickson and the Bengals were working on some new wording in the contract that would give him more money based off of incentives.
Right.
And so I guess that was what sort of got to the final wire here. So he stays with the Bengals for an extra season. Terry McLaurin and the Commanders finally worked out their deal yesterday, which that needed to happen. So I did a show over the weekend on ESPN, and we talked about McLaurin and Parsons and Hendrickson and which team needed to work out their contract the most. And all off season, I was saying Micah Parsons because I think he is the best player of all three of them. However, if we're talking about what their team's respective futures are, like the future for the Commanders is Jaden Daniels. And to take away your number one weapon, I think is detrimental to a kid who's still growing. Like, unless you thought after 1 year he's Tom Brady and he can win with the James Whites of the world and Danny Amendola and all those guys, Wes Welker, that's one thing. But I don't think anybody should think that Jaden Daniels is Tom Brady after one season. They needed to get McLaurin back, and they did yesterday.
Yeah, that was the number one. When you're, like, to your point, you were building something in D.C., right? You had this magical run. Everybody's excited. You finally got rid of your toxic ownership down there. You have a coach that people are behind. You have this quarterback again that you're really hopeful about. There was a lot of things riding high. And then to cut it off at the knees if you don't sign your number one guy would have been really problematic. Of course, Magic Johnson has to send the tweets out.
Oh, did he put out a tweet?
Oh, I missed it.
No, I got to see this.
It wasn't as bad as it usually is.
Because I don't have the Ray Dunn algorithm, because Ray loves the Magic Johnson tweets.
It wasn't like as bad as they usually are, because usually they're just like, literally, the sun is out today or the sky is blue.
Here we go. I'm thrilled that we re-signed Terry McLaurin! Exclamation point.
Yeah, well, of course.
Job well done by my partner, Josh Harris, and GM Adam Peters. This is great news for Commander players, our organization, and all Commander fans! Exclamation point.
Hello?
Terry is more than just a great football player. He's an outstanding leader and does tremendous things in the DMV community. That's not too bad.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
That's not a typical.
Usually it's like Terry McLaurin signed a contract. We are excited. Like, okay, what? But my favorite part of some of that is, and they probably have been filtered down now. Initially, there was a bunch of replies. People were like, why is this guy talking about the Commanders? Because they completely forgot he was part of the ownership organization. Like, why is he lives out in L.A. What is he talking about? He's not a Commanders fan. But for them to try to like cut themselves off before they got anything started, I think
weird.
That would have been a really, it's for one thing for the Cowboys to do something stupid because they have the same ownership. It's like, yeah. But you thought you were trying to go in a different way. Like, all right.
And then you're not going to bring back your number one receiver.
We're going to do the same stuff.
Now, speaking of the Cowboys, Micah Parsons, still no new contract. Yesterday on Get Up, here was Adam Schefter talking about the latest with Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys.
We are getting close to the start of the regular season opener. He has not practiced this summer due to a back injury, back tightness. Now, the Cowboys took an MRI on it. Said it came back clean. I think Micah Parsons would tell you that his back is tight, doesn't feel right. So in a best case scenario, he hasn't practiced. He's got a tight back. The Cowboys regular season opener is a week from Thursday night in Philadelphia. And the fact of the matter is, if he's out there at all, he'll be limited because he hasn't gone through practice at all.
I love that. I absolutely love it. Again, shame on Jerry Jones for being Jerry Jones, but for our sake, it's great. Now, I was curious. I looked at it. Eagles are 6.5-point favorites. I think it was 7, if I'm not mistaken, when the schedule first came out. If Micah Parsons is off the field, that's got to go up to at least like a 7.5, 8.5 piece. Like, it has to be.
Because really, like, who's...
They have decent players on defense, but nobody that's Micah Parsons.
No.
And it's just like, if you're Jerry Jones, look, we love it because we hate the Cowboys. But if you're Jerry Jones, like, so I don't want to bring up the bad time, but like when Mr. Snyder was toward the end, he made a lot of uber aggressive moves because I think he wanted to see one more.
Right.
Jerry, you're getting up there. I'm trying to say this as professionally and respectful as possible. Wouldn't you want your lasting legacy to be like one more? Instead of,
how about just
let me be a circus?
Get there.
Yeah.
Just get there. Get to an NFC title game.
And his lasting memory to him, what's important to him is the paycheck, the valuation of the franchise.
Because they're the number one,
he said that in
the big stadium.
He doesn't care about
winning. He also loves drama. He talks about it all the time.
He wants to be entertaining. He wants to make money, and they got to deal with that down in Dallas.
WWE.
Yeah. Well, they basically are the WWE of football. It's amazing. All right, coming up next, We have touched on the Eagles roster cuts this morning. In the next segment, I have to bring up a name that I hope I won't have to bring up this season. Also, there was a beautiful, beautiful mic'd up moment from the Super Bowl that I don't think anyone heard until yesterday. It's Kincade and Salciunas, Amy in for John here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Philadelphia Union Soccer.
Kowalski punches it.
Yes.
I want to start with the biggest positive development, biggest surprise. Because I guess surprise can also go negative, but I have disappointment coming up. So your biggest surprise in a positive light.
I have a
from Ken.
few.
All right. Hit me with two of them.
Positive surprise, Darius Cooper, the rookie wide receiver out of Tarleton State. He was sort of buried and an afterthought when the Eagles announced their undrafted rookie free agent class. Every single day he made a play, and the moment was never too big for him. He definitely proved that he belonged, and it wasn't just the splash plays. He was consistent. And for an undrafted rookie, you see those every year. Every team has them. He can play, and I do believe that he's going to make this roster.
He's going to make the 53. If you had to look at that wide receiver room right now, who's in the 53?
I would say, obviously, A.J., Devontae, Jahan, John Mechie. We'll have to wait and see about Johnny Wilson, so I'm going to take him out of this equation for now. Anais Smith being the punt returner, and Darius Cooper, he's just shown too much. And if you already have the mindset that Jahan Dotson won't be an Eagle or potentially won't be an Eagle next year, well, Darius Cooper gives you some cost-effective depth that you can kind of develop this year.
Not underestimate how good JT has been. Since June 9th, he has the best batting average of any player in the National League? Any of them. The thing I've noticed is these pitchers, Zach Wheeler in particular, they go out of their way to talk about how important he is, how valuable he is. Why is that? They're trying to send a message that they need him back. He's going to say, why should I take a pay cut? I think it's safe to say Kyle Schwarber's contract needle isn't pointing down. So this is going to be a lot more expensive to keep them both. The one thing about JT is he'll be 35 next opening day. You know how many catchers in this century have started 125 games in the season at age 35 or older? It's one. Jorge Posada. Wow. Started 127. That was 15 years ago. Again, I think that points to a shorter deal for JT, but even if it's short, he's going to want to get paid. Are the Phillies going to be able to afford, say, $45 million to re-sign JT and Kyle Schwarber per year? I mean, they're going to free up some money with Ranger and Kepler and Romano and Joe Ross and Alvarado if they don't pick up his option. But I think you're asking me, can they afford to sign both? You should really be asking John Middleton. It's his call.
I'm going to say this person's name, hopefully, for the last time. I really hope for the last time. But essentially, after releasing Kenyon Green yesterday, the Eagles traded away Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to move up from 6th round to the 5th round. I don't think when they traded for Kenyon Green, anyone thought that it was for Kenyon Green, but it was more like, so a salary.
Here's like a person.
Yeah, let's get somebody. Let's see if he can pass Stoutland U, which a lot of people do, except Kenyon Green.
Mm-mm.
And he got released yesterday. And I still question that second safety spot. We talked about this yesterday with Andrew DeCecco. I have to see Reed Blankenship play well without Chauncey Gardner-Johnson before I tell you that I feel comfortable with Reed/Sidney or Reed/Drew Makuba, because I've seen Reed/not Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and both safeties play poorly, including Reed Blankenship. So yesterday was just kind of a reminder. If you guys remember when I was doing the show the day after the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade, I was not happy, despite Howie Roseman deserving a lot of benefit of the doubt. And I will give him that benefit of the doubt, but I also can't help but point out what happened the last time he exited NovaCare and how it didn't necessarily work out for the Eagles also on the field during game day. So I really hope that this is the last time I have to mention the name Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in a way where it's like, damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
He brought this. We had this. Because honestly, for all of the bad stuff as far as some of the play that he would have on the field at times, he brought very high-level play.
Yep.
And he brought that swagger.
Yeah.
And both can be true. You can maybe don't want some of it at the same time.
Yeah.
But you take the good with the bad. And he had that. And he had that mentality. And I think that added to it. You mentioned, like, when he would play alongside players, kind of like, all right, well, this guy's rocking with this. I'm going to rock with that too.
Yeah.
And when you don't have that, you're mentioning, like, seeing Reed Blankenship, it seems like you worry about him maybe taking a step back.
Well, and as DeCecco has pointed out numerous times, Reed Blankenship and Sidney Brown, the way they play football is the same.
Right.
And you need somebody you need somebody to be the safety, right? And DeCecco believes that at some point Drew Makuba might overtake Sidney Brown, and then that would be more like the Reed Blankenship, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson dynamic.
He's a harder hitter. His physical attributes are different than Sidney Brown's.
Well, and Sidney Brown's just to put my head down and attack like Reed Blankenship is. Whereas somebody has to be that coverage safety, and you had that in Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. You may eventually have that in Drew Makuba, but until that change happens, I wonder, not worried, but I wonder what it will look like with Reed Blankenship and Sidney Brown if Sidney Brown does dress for this for week 1 as the starter.
Yeah, they're just too similar. I think you really hit the nail on the head when you're looking at the style of play. And then because of that, then that's going to be exploitable because you know exactly what you're getting. But you need to have a little finesse at that position. You need to have someone to be able to read a little bit more. No pun there intended, but you have to be able to have that. And so then when you have a little bit of safety coverage over the top, you feel a little bit better about it, right? You feel better about cornerbacks. You feel better about your linebackers. You feel better. It's just such a trickle-down effect. And I'm not saying you don't feel confident, but you don't want to have any question marks over that. And I feel like you might.
Yeah, you might. And that's why I bring up Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, hopefully, for the last time.
Yeah, I'll just contend that was as equal parts non-football of a move as it was football.
Oh, I know. I know John has talked about it a lot from the people that he speaks to within the Eagles organization, that the Taylor Swift stuff bothered a lot of people within the Eagles organization.
Yeah.
And
that's when swag goes wrong.
Had a looming potential contract issue that could have caused
and look, I still don't believe Chauncey Gardner-Johnson when he put out the tweet after Saquon got his money, where it was, I forget exactly what the tweet was, but it was inferring to wanting more money. Like, and then he was like, no, I swear that has nothing to do. Like,
don't say that.
It did. I've seen you crash out online multiple times, and then say that it wasn't a crash out. So there might be more to it than just football. But when it comes to football, which starts on September 4th, I wonder what it's going to look like. All right, so yesterday there was a clip that was circulating on social media from the Eagles and their Super Bowl 59 victory over the Kansas City Chiefs. And it was toward the end of the game when, I don't know at this exact moment if the defense was on the field or if the starters were out. because there was a conversation caught on camera between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. Lane Johnson ended up walking into the shot as well. If you remember, it got weird last year.
Yes.
Very weird. Brandon Graham's going on radio shows talking about how Jalen and A.J. aren't friends anymore, and that was the media's fault for whatever reason.
Because we listened when he said it on the media.
and reacted to it. And, the Philly media is trying to tear these two players apart when it was Brandon Graham who may have done it. But it was weird. And
it got weird.
There was the very, 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 very strange thing before the season started by a radio TV host on Fox talking about how there was weird stuff. I didn't believe that at all to be the case, but there was weird stuff surrounding Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown pretty much all season last year. And then when Brandon Graham says what he has to say, we all go, uh-oh, what's going on here? So Jalen and A.J. Brown, minutes away from winning Super Bowl 59. This clip was in the NFL Films documentary after they win the Super Bowl, but it was a shortened version. They released the extended version of the conversation between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown yesterday, and I want to play it for you because I think it's beautiful.
She about to sing, but proud of you, bro. Appreciate you, man. Proud of you, too. All the ups and downs, bro. It comes with it, man. It's a part of the game, and that's life, You evolve, you go through stuff, try and go through it diligently, and you take everything as it comes. And, at the end of the day, God is better than all the highs and the lows, man. You just got to stay rooted in that, and everything handles itself over time. But a lot of work, a lot of energy, even before you got here, getting close to going and coming here and helping us do what we do, And now, she about to sing. Love you. Love you too.
Now, obviously, some of that was football related. You helped us here.
Right.
Hey, I'm Jalen Hurts. I need a wide receiver to throw to, and I got A.J. Brown. But we also know that there was something between the two players.
There's some subtext in there, too. Yeah. At the end of the day,
ups and downs.
We got where we got because of us coming together.
Right.
And that means you and me when he's talking, too. Yeah, I thought that was a really nice moment. And I had not seen that to that degree at all.
I just remember Connor even pointed out during the break. I remember this, she's about to sing, because I think that's a great line. Without saying the fat lady's about to sing, you know what Jalen means when he says she's about to sing. But it was cool to see the extended version. That's one of those NFL Films rarely misses. That was a miss to not have had that in the actual documentary.
Because if you're watching that, you're an Eagles fan and you know about the relationship and how it had kind of been rocky.
Right.
And I think that really kind of brought it home. Because you could have edited that showing some of the stuff earlier and then be like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. But
for context.
It was good to hear that, and we'll see how the relationship continues to grow this year between Hurts and A.J. Brown. Coming up next, speaking of Jalen Hurts, do we finally have a logical national quarterback ranking list, Amy? It only took the, entire summer to get to one. Also, we'll get more of your Phillies text messages because despite A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts having that beautiful moment, I'm still in a bad mood. It's Kincade and Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Bills give up a baker's dozen. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies had a terrible game one up in New York yesterday, falling to the Mets 13-3. The Phils gave up 13 unanswered runs after holding a 3-0 lead through 3 innings. Christopher Sanchez gave up 6 runs, 5 of them earned. It's his most allowed in any start this season. The offense was 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. The defense had 2 errors. The bullpen had a bad night. It was bad all around, and that's how things have gone at Citi Field recently for the Phils. Bryce Harper talked about it after the game.
No, it's a good team over there. Right now, we don't play too well here. Obviously, tonight didn't go the way we wanted it to, and kind of got away from them. So, just got to be better, flush as quick as possible, and get ready for tomorrow.
The Phils have now lost their last 8 straight at Citi Field. They'll play the Mets again tonight up there in Queens at 7:10. Jesus Luzardo faces Sean Manaea. Today is roster cutdown day in the NFL. Deadline is at 4 p.m. this afternoon, but the Eagles already made a flurry of cuts yesterday. Included in those waived were quarterback Kyle McCord, corner Eli Ricks, and guard Kenyon Green. Green, who was acquired from Houston in the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade, who's dealing with a shoulder injury. We'll talk to Jeff McClain of The Inquirer coming up at 8:25. Anthony Sanfilippo of Vaughn Pattison at 9:10. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Yo, everybody, it's Bill Colarulo, and the birds are ready to...
I want to start with the biggest positive development, biggest surprise. Because I guess surprise can also go negative, but I have disappointment coming up. So your biggest surprise in a positive light.
I have a
from Cam.
few.
All right. Hit me with two of them.
Positive surprise, Darius Cooper, the rookie wide receiver out of Tarleton State. He was sort of buried and an afterthought when the Eagles announced their undrafted rookie free agent class. Every single day he made a play, and the moment was never too big for him. He definitely proved that he belonged, and it wasn't just the splash plays. He was consistent. And for an undrafted rookie, you see those every year. Every team has them. He can play, and I do believe that he's going to make this roster.
He's going to make the 53. If you had to look at that wide receiver room right now, who's in the 53?
I would say, obviously, AJ, Devontae, Jahan, John Mechie. We'll have to wait and see about Johnny Wilson, so I'm going to take him out of this equation for now. Anais Smith being the punt returner, and Darius Cooper, he's just shown too much. And if you already have the mindset that Jahan Dotson won't be an Eagle or potentially won't be an Eagle next year, well, Darius Cooper gives you some cost-effective depth that you can kind of develop this year.
Not underestimate how good JT has been. Since June 9th, he has the best batting average of any player in the National League, any of them. The thing I've noticed is these pitchers, Zach Wheeler in particular, they go out of their way to talk about how important he is, how valuable he is. Why is that? They're trying to send a message that they need him back. He's going to say, why should I take a pay cut? I think it's safe to say Kyle Schwarber's contract needle isn't pointing down. So this is going to be a lot more expensive to keep them both. The one thing about JT is he'll be 35 next opening day. You know how many catchers in this century have started 125 games in the season at age 35 or older? It's one.
One?
Jorge Posada started 127. That was 15 years ago. Again, I think that points to a shorter deal for JT, but even if it's short, he's going to want to get paid. Are the Phillies going to be able to afford, say, $45 million to re-sign JT and Kyle Schwarber per year? I mean, they're going to free up some money with Ranger and Kepler.
Tell me it's not Alec Boehm pointing.
No. It was the alert from the Phillies on December 9th of 2024. The Phillies have signed right-handed pitcher Jordan Romano to a one-year contract. Phillies president of baseball operations Dave Dabrowski announced this evening. That's the image.
Yeah, that's much worse.
Yeah. It's been bad. And again, one of our questions today is whether or not you feel bad for athletes. Like, no, I don't totally feel bad, but at some point, like,
I think there's different levels.
yeah, like I don't feel bad that the guy's going to get still paid
Ben
his
DiNucci.
$10 million.
I feel bad for that
Right,
guy.
Ben DiNucci. No, not really, because he hated the tush push. So I'm out.
Oh, that's
on
true.
Ben
Never
DiNucci.
mind.
Well, we
Right.
might hear about him later.
All right, cool.
Sorry.
But like like Jordan Romano, like you said it earlier, when the phone rings, there's probably part of them that's going,
He has to have a pit in his
Damn it.
stomach. Like, oh, no.
damn it.
I don't know if I feel better if he has the pit and he's recognizing that, okay, I'm not very good right now, or if I feel worse if he's like, this is it. I can do it today. This is gonna be a good day for me.
I just saw a tweet from Jeff Kerr because, you start talking about people and then it immediately pops up on your timeline. So Jordan Romano's ERA is 8.23 this season, as we've talked about a lot today. Here's his ERAs by month. All right, so the March/April was a 12.48. May was 2.53. So you're going, all right, we got him. This is the guy who's just a rough start. Change of scenery, wasn't ready. June was a 7.27. July was a 5.19. Do you know what his ERA in the month of August is?
It's got to be over 20.
21.95.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he's been terrible.
And they keep trotting him out there. And we replayed the clip from Rob Thompson. Go ahead, let's play it again. Rob Thompson last week, after his latest implosion, when basically asked why is he still on the roster, this was Rob Thompson's answer.
It's funny, I was looking at it today. He either shuts people down or he gives up 2 or 3 runs. Give a lot early in the season. And a lot of tough luck, too, really. You look at last night, he gives up a jam shot, base hit, and then the guy fights him and fights him and fights him, and he leaves a slider in his wheelhouse and hits it over the fence. And it just seems like it's been one of those years, but it's still good stuff. He gets swing and miss when he's on. And he's actually done a pretty good job at killing innings, coming in with traffic and getting out of it. So, I like it.
That was 1 week ago. When
It was still August at the time.
Yeah. That was a week ago when he allowed 2 hits, a home run, 2 earned runs in a third of an inning against the Mariners. And then 1 week later, because they let him sit for a week, he gives up 4 earned runs yesterday.
Perfect.
With the big home run. And he's now got an 8.23 ERA. His stuff isn't good, Rob. He doesn't have swing and miss stuff, because if he had swing and miss stuff, he would not be giving up earned runs every single outing. He would not be giving up hits every single outing. He's a disaster, and he should not be on a roster that, if we are being honest with ourselves, if you are truly considered a World Series contender, somebody like Jordan Romano cannot be on your roster. Like, I need Dave Dombrowski to look himself in the mirror and ask himself if he believes having Jordan Romano on your roster actually makes you a World Series contender or not. Because the answer is no. I know you can't say one player can or can't.
I mean, yes. The thing is,
it's embarrassing.
The adage is one player, can't make or break an entire team, right? There's no I in team, but there is me. But whatever. You can have that, though. You can have a player that can absolutely derail your team.
Yeah.
I feel like that isn't necessarily true. And I know that you're not going to come right out and say it if you ask Dave Dombrowski or Rob Thompson, like, can you win having a guy that's got this ERA? The only reason it's 8 is because the month of May was 2.
Yeah.
Everything else says this ERA should be well into the double
It'd
digits.
be higher. Yeah.
Well into the double, like 12.
Sounds very much like the Doc Rivers question. Can you win a championship with Ben Simmons as your point guard? And the answer was, I don't know. Remember that?
Oh, gosh. How could I forget? I don't know. There has never been a less ringing endorsement.
That was the best I
Ben
don't
should
know
have just
ever.
hung it up at that point and been like, all right, well, this guy doesn't believe in me. I don't think Jordan Moreno believes in his stuff right now.
Right, and it's not just like
Confidence is gone.
we'll throw him in a mop-up spot or we'll throw him if we're getting smoked or anything like that. Like, the problem is, to use a Jalen Hurts quote, the standard is the standard. Like, you are a World Series contending team in your minds. You've told us this year, the Phillies have. And you cannot have a guy on the team that's that blatantly bad and say, hey, we're still trying to compete. Like, you have to continue to try and better your team. And anything is better than him right now. I'm sorry, I hate to put it that way, but I would take anybody in the system over Jordan Romano.
No, you have to try. Like, at this point, you just have to try. So the Phillies have played 121 games this season. All right, 76 and 55. 121 games. Do you know that Jordan Romano in his next game will be his 50th appearance this season? We've watched him pitch.
45 too many.
We've almost watched him pitch 50 times this year. And majority of those games, it's been bad. And it's all because of a contract that he's still on this team. That's my belief. I'm not doing any reporting. But I think we can all read the tea leaves that there's only one reason why he's still on this baseball team. And trying to lie to anybody by saying we believe at some point he's going to find it is just wrong.
It's almost September.
Yeah.
It's lost.
Yeah.
It's not
the
found.
Eagles kick off in 9 days.
It's all, that's what, he is who we thought he was. He's who he was in April. May I'm not even paying attention to because I feel like he only pitched twice, and there's no way that he pitched more than like one time with that 2 ERA. There's no way. I'm sure he did, but there's just, my mind's not going to believe it.
Yeah.
He is who he was in July, and he's certainly who he is in August.
Yeah.
It's not going to change. You can't keep trotting him out there. What is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing
over and over again,
expecting a different result.
Yep. I wonder if Kevin Nagani tweeted that.
But is he the coach's kid? Is it a Canadian thing? Like, it's impressive at this point. He's Chase Daniel territory of incompetence and still getting paid. Like, it's impressive that he is still somehow on this baseball team with how bad he has been. I've never seen anything like it.
It's a $10 million contract.
And that's the thing. Like, you can't just die on that hill. You have to eat it.
Yeah.
The mistake has been made. Now you're making it worse. I understand that you want to save face, but you're losing any kind of semblance of that face, so to speak, by keeping a guy out there that has an ERA over 8, over 20 in the month of August, which is almost done, by the way.
Last year, when, sorry to bring up Taijuan Walker's 2024 again, but last year, every time he started, the bats were dead.
Yeah.
And why was that? Because every time a lineup card probably came out there, probably like, crap.
Exactly.
And so Jordan Romano yesterday, that was a different situation. It's a reliever versus starter. The second he comes out, we all said crap. I imagine some of his teammates are saying, like, well, what are we doing here? We've all done it when we played sports. Like, we all questioned a decision made by our coach or our manager. And when Romano, you brought up the JTI role, like that literally happened. We saw it happen a couple of years ago where JT Realmuto literally rolled his eyes at a pitcher that was coming into the game.
No.
So Jordan Romano comes out. I imagine somebody has a reaction of, damn it. And then when he gives up 4 earned runs, like, look, I ripped the bats for going dead yesterday. But when it's 9-3, part of me goes, I can't blame him.
Yep, air's out now.
Because everybody that felt a certain type of way probably when he was coming into the game, their points were true.
Well, it was 5. It was like, you're still in it. You still got this one. But you mentioned, even when they're up, this mop-up duty, they could be up 9-0. If you see him come in, your first thought is, well, it's going to be 9-5.
Yeah.
9-4. It's not going to go well. There's nothing that he has shown in the entire season in those 49 appearances that has shown that he has found anything, that he can find anything. So keeping on to this idea that he's going to be able to harness something magically in the next month and a half is just ridiculous. But you can't hold on to him just because you gave him $10 million.
Right. And oh, by the way, Amy and I were talking about this during the break, and we'll get to this Eagles thing in a second. I was asking Amy, if they were to DFA him, would they do it now because they're not far away in New York?
Yeah, rather than.
Or do they do it Thursday when they come back home to take on the Braves? You think it's going to be Thursday? Because
I would think they would wait until home.
So the reason why I feel like it's going to happen, not just that it has to happen, but it's going to happen, he had not pitched for a week. And there's one play that Rob Thompson has against Dave Dombrowski is by not using him.
Right.
And so they don't use him for a week. They figured, all right, need to give a couple arms a rest. Let's see if he's got something after giving a week off and he has another bad outing. There's literally at this point,
it's almost like you just want to just gesture over and go, hey,
this is what you got.
You wanted to see. It reminds me of something Charlie Manuel said. This was years ago, towards the very end, and their bullpen was just in shambles.
Yeah.
And he basically said, what do you want me to do? Because I was like, why do you keep trying? He's like, what do you want me? This is who I have. I have these humans. This is all I got.
Yeah.
And he said it in a much more Charlie Manuel way. Yeah. But that's basically what it was. It sticks with me because I think about it. He's just like, this is who I'm trotting out. I'm out there and I see guys with ERAs all over 5. All right, I have to pitch somebody.
Somebody's got to pitch, right?
But the thing is, you don't have to pitch Romano.
No, at this point, you can't do it. And that's why for a week he didn't pitch, and now we saw what happened last night.
I think it's absolutely the death knell of well, you wanted to see him. We gave him some time off thinking he could get right. here it is. We needed to get this game,
Yeah,
and wheels came off.
He's done. All right, real quick. So Fox and Ralph Vacchiano, who I'm a fan of. Actually, this was the entire Fox team. My apologies. I thought this was just Ralph. This was the entire Fox team. They put going into the season their quarterback rankings from bottom to top. I'll just quickly go through the top 10 for you so that you can celebrate because it seems like finally somebody got it right. Herbert is at 10.
Perfect. Great.
Goff is at 9. Baker is at 8. Stafford is at 7. Jaden Daniels is at 6. Jalen Hurts is at 5.
Why did it take someone the entire offseason to figure this out?
Hard? Burrow 4, Allen 3,
Great.
Lamar 2, Mahomes 1.
Perfect. That is when I would see these ones that would have Trevor Lawrence in the top 10
Yeah.
and Justin Herbert in the top 5. One, I wondered if Jim Harbaugh was the one doing the rankings. But two, like what have you seen from either of those humans that thought, yeah.
I don't know.
That's
now,
it.
You're not stupid.
The reason why I said Ralph Vacchiano, he did the write-up for Hurts. What more does the 27-year-old Hurts have to do to gain everybody's respect? That's a perfect first question. It sometimes seems like a fight to get a mention among the NFL's elite quarterbacks. Maybe it's because his numbers aren't video game-like. He threw for, quote-unquote, only 2,903 yards and 18 touchdowns last season while running for 630 and 14 touchdowns in 15 games. Maybe it's because the Eagles are stacked with talent, but he's a Super Bowl champion now and has been to the big dance twice in 3 years. He also wasn't exactly a bystander along the way either time. He puts up big numbers when needed, but it's fine relying on others. He is remarkably calm and a consistent leader and has a 52-23 record as a starter, including the playoffs.
52-23, including the playoffs.
Is that good?
Big dance.
That's good.
2 out of the last 3 years.
I would not tell you. Andrew Salciunas would not tell you that he's better than Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Patrick Mahomes. But when you've been to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years and you won one of them and you're the Super Bowl MVP, time to show some respect.
Better than Jared Goff.
All right, coming up next, it is today's headlines with Connor Thomas. It is Kincade and Salciunas, Amy and for John here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
The summer's here, and you know what that means. Engagement season. But remember, don't force it.
Don't tell you.
I want to start with the biggest positive development, biggest surprise. Because I guess surprise can also go negative, but I have disappointment coming up. So your biggest surprise in a positive light.
I have a
from camp.
few.
All right. Hit me with 2 of them.
Positive surprise, Darius Cooper, the rookie wide receiver out of Tarleton State. He was sort of buried and an afterthought when the Eagles announced their undrafted rookie free agent class. Every single day he made a play, and the moment was never too big for him. He definitely proved that he belonged, and it wasn't just the splash plays. He was consistent. And for an undrafted rookie, you see those every year. Every team has them. He can play, and I do believe that he's going to make this roster.
He's going to make the 53. If you had to look at that wide receiver room right now, who's in the 53?
I would say, obviously, AJ, Devontae, Jahan, John Mechie. We'll have to wait and see about Johnny Wilson, so I'm going to take him out of this equation for now. Anais Smith being the punt returner and Darius Cooper, he's just shown too much. And if you already have the mindset that Jahan Dotson won't be an Eagle or potentially won't be an Eagle next year, well, Darius Cooper gives you some cost-effective depth that you can kind of develop this year.
not underestimate how good JT has been. Since June 9th, he has the best batting average of any player in the National League? Any of them. The thing I've noticed is these pitchers, Zach Wheeler in particular, they go out of their way to talk about how important he is, how valuable he is. Why is that? They're trying to send a message that they need him back. He's going to say, why should I take a pay cut? I think it's safe to say Kyle Schwarber's contract needle isn't pointing down. So this is going to be a lot more expensive to keep them both. The one thing about JT is he'll be 35 next opening day. You know how many catchers in this century have started 125 games in the season at age 35 or older? It's one. Jorge Posada. Wow. Started 127. That was 15 years ago. Again, I think that points to a shorter deal for JT, but even if it's short, he's going to want to get paid. Are the Phillies going to be able to afford, say, $45 million to re-sign JT and Kyle Schwarber per year? I mean, they're going to free it.
Though, Amy Fadul in for Mr. Kincade. Coming up at 8:25, our man Jeff McClain will join the show as today, come 4 o'clock, the rosters have to be finalized, 53-man roster for all teams in the NFL, of course, including the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, speaking of the NFL, do you have, as we're about to do today's headlines, do you have the YouTube TV stuff in there?
No.
Whew. It's getting dangerous. I don't know if people have been following this. YouTube TV and Fox is trying to renew their contract.
Yeah, I think I saw this.
And it's 8/26. It's August 26th. What plays on Fox a lot? From September.
Football.
Yeah. Big time.
There is a chance that they do not work out a deal, and Fox is not a part of YouTube TV. And if that is the case, YouTube TV would not be broadcasting games on Fox. Or they would not be broadcasting Fox. I know a lot of people thought cutting the cord was like the way to go. Still get all your channels, baby. Still get all your channels. You don't have to jump from subscription to subscription.
Now, they're going to get a deal done. I'll tell you right now. They're going to get it done.
You would think, but we've seen this before. Remember DirecTV did something like this, and they just let it go.
Did they? I don't remember that.
It was maybe 5 years ago. I can't remember who they had the beef with. I'll find it. But you would think, and I agree with you, but I never say never anymore.
Yeah. It feels like the Terry McLaurin thing that we talked about, where it's just like they have to.
Micah Parsons.
Well, Jerry Jones, I don't think, is running YouTube TV.
Yeah, he might be. He might be. He's a billionaire. All right, time now for today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with the Connor Thomas.
What do we got?
Brought to us by Lundy Law. For over 70 years, Lundy Law has been fighting for injured people. If you need them, remember the name Lundy Law, your injury lawyers. Visit LundyLaw.com. That's LundyLaw.com. Let's start off with a little NFL news because we had a tough day yesterday with Phil's Mets, but players around the NFL might have had a tough day if they were some of the guys that were the early cuts ahead of the roster cut down deadline today. One of them, for the 7th time, Ben DiNucci was released from the Falcons yesterday. It's the 7th time that he's been cut in his NFL career, but at least he still has a sense of humor about it, or at least some levity, because he tweeted out, "Not many beers better than the airport, quote, I just got cut from the NFL for the 7th time beer. Trust me, you wouldn't understand," with a picture of him just crushing a tall boy at the airport. And you got to respect that. Sometimes you just need a beer on a tough day.
Listen, there are a few things that do hit as well as an airport beverage. But I can't say I've ever had one after being fired 7 times.
No, I can't say that at all.
I guess does it help you?
I think he needs it.
Can't hurt you.
Can't be worse.
Can't hurt
Sometimes help. Ben DiNucci, a couple things that come to my mind about Mr. DiNucci, other than not really being a good quarterback, and that's why he's been cut 7 times. During the tush-push debate, he said it's not a football play, so I already hate Ben DiNucci.
You're not a football player.
Especially when there was a video of him attempting the tush-push and not succeeding the tush-push when he was playing in the XFL or whatever league. The other thing, not necessarily his fault, but do you remember the game where Ben DiNucci had to play against the Eagles? And Carson Wentz was horrible, and DiNucci, I was actually outplaying Carson Wentz.
He actually looked good.
He threw a sidearm pass because he was just bad. And Chris Collinsworth said, "Look, He looks like a little bit like Patrick Mahomes here.
I honestly,
I thought Chris Collinsworth should have been thrown in prison.
I remember watching that, and I had to extricate myself from my seat. I had to push back, and I thought,
That's a please keep watching this game. Don't go away from this game.
It was the most egregious overstatement I've ever heard on a comparison.
I'm glad that I'm not the only sicko that remembers these things. Thank you.
It stuck out so bad, and I thought, that didn't just happen.
He literally said he looked
I
like
blacked
Patrick
out. I was like, that didn't happen. He didn't say Ben DiNucci and Patrick Mahomes in any other sentence of like they both kind of play quarterback and one plays it really well.
Yeah.
It was.
Oh, he looked like Patrick Mahomes there.
Yeah.
What's next, Connor?
Sure. That just took me back to a bad place.
Yeah, let's get out of a bad place. Well, this was bad for another baseball fan base last night. Now, I like to do things at headlines that people might not have seen. And there's a chance that people might not have seen this because last night, the Cardinals had a home game. And they announced a ticket-selling crowd of 17,675. That is the smallest crowd in the current iteration of Busch Stadium. Now, they've rebuilt that stadium or retooled that stadium, but it's the first time they sold fewer than 20,000 tickets. And they missed a wild moment because Wilson Contreras found himself getting tossed from the game just like a lot of fans who didn't show up.
Yeah, I think it was Contreras walking away. He certainly continued to look back. He's saying he didn't say anything. Now he's saying all those things he said he didn't say.
Wow, Ollie's got to hold him back. Now Ollie's been tossed. Now somebody fires a whole box of bubble gum out onto the field between the plate and first.
So we got a lot of stuff thrown, but something not mentioned in the clip. We also had a bat thrown where Wilson Contreras tried to toss the bat in the direction of the umpire and hit one of his coaches in the head with it while he was getting ejected.
Oh.
Just an absolute mess of a situation.
No, it wasn't a bat. It was batting gloves.
No, he threw the bat.
Are you sure?
Oh, yeah, he threw the bat. Go ahead and watch the video back. There is a bat toss.
Watching it. Oh, it was the bat. Oh, my God.
I do my research.
Holy hell. That sucks.
That's a bat. Could you imagine trying to hold your player back and all of a sudden you hit with the top of the bat?
No.
Now, first off, he's lucky he hit his coach.
Yeah, not the umpire.
Right.
Second of all, MLB officials may still think he attempted to throw a bat at an umpire. If this video gets John Boyd broken down even more, Wilson Contreras could be out for a while. Because if you're throwing that, look. I know people are going to be like, don't overstate this. It's not assault. But somebody could make the case that he tried to assault. The MLB Umpires Association could try to say, look, this guy tried to assault one of our guys. The union, the MLB Umpire Union. Yeah. He could serve some time, not time in jail. Suspension time.
Suspension-wise.
This is our second bat throw in 2 weeks on today's headlines. I don't know what's going on, but stop throwing your bats, folks.
Yeah.
They're dangerous.
They are dangerous.
All right.
Good job, Connor. All right, coming up next, Jeff McClain will join us. Roster cut down 4 o'clock today. What this roster will look like moving forward as we are 9 days away from kickoff between the Eagles and Cowboys, who may be without Micah Parsons. Jeff McClain joins us next. It's Kincade and Salciunas. Amy in for John today, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
The Mets mash against the Phillies. I'm Connor Thomas, and it was a bad night in New York for the Phils in Game 1 against those Mets. They lost 13-3, and those 13 runs were all scored unanswered after the Phils held a 3-0 lead through 3 innings. Christopher Sanchez gave up 6 runs, 5 earned in his worst start of the season. The offense was 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. The defense, 2 errors. The bullpen, miserable out of there. And Bryce Harper talked about the issues at Citi Field recently.
No, I mean, it's a good team over there. Right now, it's going to play too well here. Obviously, tonight didn't go the way we wanted it to and kind of got away from it. So just got to be better, flush as quick as possible, and get ready for tomorrow.
Last night makes it 8 straight losses at Citi Field for the Phils. They'll play the Mets again tonight at 7:10. Jesus Luzardo faces Sean Manaea. Today's roster cut-down day in the NFL. Deadline's 4 p.m., but the Eagles already made a flurry of cuts yesterday. Included in those waived were quarterback Kyle McCord, corner Eli Ricks, and guard Kenyon Green. Green was acquired from Houston in the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade earlier this offseason. We'll talk to Jeff McClain about the latest on the Eagles roster coming up next. Anthony Sanfilippo of Vaughn Pattison joins us at 9:10 for the latest on the Phils. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
I want to start with the biggest positive development, biggest surprise. Because I guess surprise can also go negative, but I have disappointment coming up. So your biggest surprise in a positive light.
I have a
from Ken.
few.
All right. Hit me with two of them.
Positive surprise, Darius Cooper, the rookie wide receiver out of Tarleton State. He was sort of buried and an afterthought when the Eagles announced their undrafted rookie free agent class. Every single day he made a play, and the moment was never too big for him. He definitely proved that he belonged, and it wasn't just the splash plays. He was consistent. And for an undrafted rookie, you see those every year. Every team has them. He can play, and I do believe that he's going to make this roster.
He's going to make the 53. If you had to look at that wide receiver room right now, who's in the 53?
I would say, obviously, A.J., Devontae, Jahan, John Mechie. We'll have to wait and see about Johnny Wilson, so I'm going to take him out of this equation for now. Anais Smith being the punt returner, and Darius Cooper, he's just shown too much. And if you already have the mindset that Jahan Dotson won't be an Eagle or potentially won't be an Eagle next year, well, Darius Cooper gives you some cost-effective depth that you can kind of develop this year.
Not underestimate how good JT has been. Since June 9th, he has the best batting average of any player in the National League? Any of them. The thing I've noticed is these pitchers, Zach Wheeler in particular, they go out of their way to talk about how important he is, how valuable he is. Why is that? They're trying to send a message that they need him back. He's going to say, why should I take a pay cut? I think it's safe to say Kyle Schwarber's contract needle isn't pointing down. So this is going to be a lot more expensive to keep them both. The one thing about JT is he'll be 35 next opening day. You know how many catchers in this century have started 125 games in the season at age 35 or older? It's one. Jorge Posada. Wow. Started 127. That was 15 years ago. Again, I think that points to a shorter deal for JT, but even if it's short, he's going to want to get paid. Are the Phillies going to be able to afford, say, $45 million to re-sign JT and Kyle Schwarber per year? I mean, they're going to free up some money with Ranger and Kepler and Romano and Joe Ross and Alvarado if they don't pick up his option. But I think you're asking me, can they afford to sign both? You should really be asking John Middleton. It's his call.
And I told you, the peer pressure ovation, because not everybody immediately jumped up to give him a standing ovation.
No, it looked like, honestly, it did appear to sort of be like one of those reluctant waves.
I told you.
A reluctant wave.
I knew how this whole situation was going to play out.
Which I do not understand in and of itself. The idea that, I don't know you. You're sitting 3 rows ahead of me. You're sitting 2 rows over from me. I don't know you. Why do I care what you get up to cheer for?
The peer pressure standing O, man.
That's crazy.
You don't want to be
dude.
the guy that's not doing it. I told you that.
No.
In for John Kincade. Amy Fadula in the YouTube chat. I just saw it pop up.
I did. If someone asked how Jimmy Lynam was doing. Well, so first someone asked, like, I've never seen Trevor Lawrence on the top. I was like, I saw him on multiple on top 10
Oh,
lists.
yeah, he was there. I saw one where he was
SI
10.
had him.
Yeah.
And Yahoo Sports, Tice, who writes for Yahoo Sports, who usually I think does a pretty good job. They both had him at 9.
I think sometimes people don't realize that we are literally so invested in all this stuff that if
you don't know where you read it, sometimes you just know you read it.
we know that it's there because we probably reacted to it. But that's good. I like that you bring Jimmy Lynam as soup.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
So someone asked, for those who are not watching on the YouTube chat, I just told Andrew during the break, a couple of years ago I would stop by the Wawa on my way into work for Sixers games, and I would we have a group chat, our producer Brian Brennan, Mark Jackson, Jimmy Lynam, and I, and can I get anybody? I'm stopping by the Wawa, can I get anybody anything? Sometimes, I get like a soup for myself, and Jim would, a couple different times he asked if I could pick him up a chicken noodle soup.
I love that.
So now, about 3 seasons going, I don't even ask anymore. I just pick him up the chicken noodle soup. And invariably towards the middle of the season, sometime around December, January, he'll just give me like a really substantial Wawa gift card because he feels like bad. But they're I usually get so many Wawa points half the time. The soup's free,
right.
But yeah,
Look, Jimmy Lynam is a Philadelphia treasure.
He loves his chicken noodle soup. I get him that.
You know who else is a Philadelphia treasure? Jeff McClain.
Of course he is.
And he joins us now on the Comcast Business Hotline, where every day and business big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. He's from the Inquirer, Inquirer.com. You got to experience the new look of Inquirer Sports, where fans can read, watch, and listen to their favorite reporters and columnists. Go to Inquirer.com/sports. On roster cut down day, Jeff McClain joins us here on Kincade and Salciunas. Amy in for Giant today. Jeff, good morning. How you doing today?
Hey, Andrew. I hope that doesn't mean I'm getting old, treasure.
No, that doesn't mean you're getting old. We just value your work, Jeff. And of course, you were busy yesterday, and you will continue to be busy today. As come 4 o'clock, the Eagles have to finalize their 53-man roster. There was already some moves being made yesterday. Curious, any moves that were a surprise to you with your initial belief of what the 53-man roster could look like?
No, not yesterday. I mean, I think I originally had Kyle McCord on, but obviously after they traded for Sam Howell, that was inevitable that they were going to release him. I mentioned we some other team that's probably willing to pick him up off waivers, so I think it may be unlikely that he's back in the practice squad, but we'll see. I'm sure they'll be willing to bring him back. But other than that, Eli Ricks had been on the team for the last 2 years, so I guess that registers as maybe a notable name, but he wasn't a guy that I thought would make it just because of who they added, Jacorian Bennett. Most recently, probably meant that Eli wasn't going to be gone. So other than that, I wouldn't say anything. Early that we have gotten have been surprises, and I think typically as you get closer to the deadline, you have got maybe Howie Roseman's trying to trade that could end up on a roster. So you may have bigger names today that are getting waived or released.
Hey, Jeff, I'm going to drop you for 1 second. It's not your phone line. We're having phone line issues, so Connor's going to call you from a different phone. So I'm going to hang up on you for 1 second, and we appreciate your patience. This damn phone system, who the hell knows anymore? It's
new, but it's not.
And I know professionally I'm supposed to act like nothing's going on, but something's going on. We can all hear it. It sounds like crap. But Jeff McClain, not surprised by any of the roster moves. I'm not shocked by Eli Ricks, especially as Jeff points out. They bring in Jacorian Bennett. That adds to another spot on the roster. And Keely Ringo, even though we have been complaining about his performance for the cornerback 2 battle, he is considered one of the better special teams players.
And I think that when you have a guy that had been in the system last year and he still is unable to make any kind of hay, that says a lot about where they valued him or where they saw him. It wasn't something they thought, well, maybe another year under the belt. No, he's been here since 2023. I think that they saw everything they needed to see. I do agree also with when Jeff first started, he's like Kyle McCord initially, because with a draft pick, you would think that they'd be reticent to cut a draft pick so quickly. But when they made the move for Sam Howell with the uncertainty surrounding Tanner McKee's finger injury, I think that really was the writing on the wall. That was just a numbers game. You can't roll into the season if you're backup. You do trust in Tanner McKee is hurt in any way with a guy, Kyle McCord.
Right. Right.
And that's nothing. I mean,
You just
Kyle
don't
McCord
want to do. You don't
might
want to do
get
that.
caught on somewhere. I mean, I think that there's a good chance he does, and he doesn't make it to the practice squad.
It's like
But you
the
can't
Phillies
roll
with
in
Romano, right?
Oh
Like,
God,
you can't tell me that if you need a guy to go out there,
hoping we could go 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That Jordan Romano is the guy that you need to go to. Same with Kyle McCord. Like,
Right.
If God forbid something happened to Jalen early on in the season and Tanner McKee is unavailable to play, you don't want to go to a guy that has absolutely zero NFL experience and a guy who, quite frankly, didn't necessarily look all that great in training camp either,
Right.
or based off of reports in camp, and then, of course, what we were able to see in the preseason games. Like, you want to go to a guy, not that Sam Howell is, some incredible quarterback, but he's
played in the NFL before.
Right. He has experience and he knows how to run an NFL offense. I'm curious when we get Jeff McClain back. We're working out this phone issue. When Jeff comes back, what he believes some of the roster breakdown will be. Number of players per position, wide receiver, running back. Because I think that's the biggest question that I have right now in terms of how many wide receivers they're going to keep. They usually keep 5.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's what they'll end up doing, and I'm guessing Darius Cooper is your 5th guy.
I would think so. When you're looking at it, and because I think he's a guy you could put out there for some gadget plays.
Sure.
One thing I need, and I said this on Bird's Huddle, I cannot look at the number 41. So when he makes the team,
it's the first thing I said.
You can't keep that. You can reverse it. 14's available.
Yes.
Double it up. Anything else? I need literally anything else.
Yeah, I said it to Connor after the first preseason
As soon as
game.
I saw it,
I was like, you can't have a wide
It was
receiver
like,
with the number
what was
41.
Reed Blankenship's number when he first got here? Like 47 or something.
Something gross.
I can't have
No.
that.
And I get it that they're changing numbers and
41.
That
no.
can't be a wide receiver number. Like,
It can't
I'm
be a
out.
number period that I see, but it cannot be a wide receiver number.
It's gonna really suck for the person that has the number 41 Darius Cooper jersey though. That when he
was very excited to get that from gosh knows where that he made himself. But no, I think that with Cooper you get a little extra. I mean, I don't think he's a guy that is going to be a valuable contributor in week 17, but I think he's a guy that you can try out some gadget plays. Jalen Hurts spoke highly of him. He's a guy that can make plays. He's got a good catch radius. Has good hands. He catches things. He does the little things that you need him to do. And for a guy that's going to be your 5th receiver, that's exactly what role he needs to play.
Yeah. And the one guy that I thought would probably make the team because of special teams abilities was Anais Smith. But Andrew DeCecco yesterday with us was talking about how recently he's really been struggling at certain aspects of the return game that you just can't struggle at.
No,
not just
that's like
holding on to the football.
That's your in.
Right. Like that's what's going to get you on this roster. Especially when Johnny Wilson goes down, Anais Smith probably goes, all right, I'm definitely on the roster. And then he has a bad final preseason game in the return game, and now all of a sudden you can't trust Anais Smith in the return game, and that would be the part that he's on the team. All right, we'll try to figure this out with Jeff McClain because I would love to talk to him. If he can't, then we have a Christopher Sanchez segment that I want to get into coming up next because we had a caller yesterday, Amy, and his call is burned into my brain. I still don't agree with what he has to say, but he made such an impact that I was thinking about it last night and this morning. I don't like that.
Okay. It stuck with you.
Yes. I'll tell you about it coming up next. Unless we have Jeff McClain on. It's Kincade and Salciunas, Amy, and for Johnny here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now, a Birds Insider Update on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
I'm Connor Thomas, and it's officially cut-down day in the NFL. The Birds already got started on trimming their roster down to 53 men. Yesterday, they made a flurry of moves, and some of the big names that were waived that you may recognize. Quarterback Kyle McCord, corner Eli Ricks, and guard Kenyon Green were all part of the group of players that the Eagles let go yesterday. Green was acquired from Houston in the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade, so some people may look at that trade a little bit differently now that Green was unable to make the roster. The Eagles still have some cuts to go to get down to that number, so it's something that we'll keep an eye on today before the deadline comes at around 4 p.m. this afternoon. Also, some big news around the NFL, one that affects the Eagles heavily in the division. Terry McLaurin got his new deal from the Washington Commanders yesterday. Trey Hendrickson signed a one-year contract with the Bengals, so it's that time of year where it seems that everybody's settling their contract disputes. besides the Dallas Cowboys, that is. Micah Parsons still remains without a new deal, and he has quote-unquote back stiffness, so we will see if he is available week 1 for the Cowboys as they match up with the Eagles. Without Micah Parsons, you have to like the Eagles' chances even more than you already do. So a lot of stuff getting figured out roster-wise in the NFL. We'll keep you updated on that throughout the day. I'm Connor Thomas on your own for the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Do you feel unfulfilled? Do your afternoons feel like Groundhog Day because you keep hearing this?
I want to start with the biggest positive development, biggest surprise. Because I guess surprise can also go negative, but I have disappointment coming up. So your biggest surprise in a positive light.
I have a
from Cam.
few.
All right. Hit me with 2 of them.
Positive surprise, Darius Cooper, the rookie wide receiver out of Tarleton State. He was sort of buried and an afterthought when the Eagles announced their undrafted rookie free agent class. Every single day he made a play, and the moment was never too big for him. He definitely proved that he belonged, and it wasn't just the splash plays. He was consistent. And for an undrafted rookie, you see those every year. Every team has them. He can play, and I do believe that he's going to make this roster.
He's going to make the 53. If you had to look at that wide receiver room right now, who's in the 53?
I would say, obviously, AJ, Devontae, Jahan, John Mechie. We'll have to wait and see about Johnny Wilson, so I'm going to take him out of this equation for now. Anais Smith being the punt returner, and Darius Cooper, he's just shown too much. And if you already have the mindset that Jahan Dotson won't be an Eagle or potentially won't be an Eagle next year, well, Darius Cooper gives you some cost-effective depth that you can kind of develop this year.
Not underestimate how good JT has been. Since June 9th, you know he has the best batting average of any player in the National League? Any of them. The thing I've noticed is these pitchers, Zach Wheeler in particular, they go out of their way to talk about how important he is, how valuable he is. Why is that? They're trying to send a message that they need him back. You know, he's going to say, why should I take a pay cut? I think it's safe to say Kyle Schwarber's contract needle isn't pointing down. You know, so this is going to be a lot more expensive to keep them both. The one thing about JT is he'll be 35 next opening day. You know how many catchers in this century have started 125 games in the season at age 35 or older? It's one. Jorge Posada. Wow. Started 127. That was 15 years ago. Again, I think that points to a shorter deal for JT, but even if it's short, he's going to want to get paid. Are the Phillies going to be able to afford, say, $45 million to re-sign JT and Kyle Schwarber per year? I mean, they're going to free up some money with Ranger and Kepler and Romano and Joe Ross and Alvarado if they don't pick up his option. But I think you're asking me, can they afford to sign both? You should really be asking John Middleton. It's his call.
I told you, the peer pressure ovation. We had a caller yesterday, Amy, that kind of was burned into my brain. And it's not one that I still agree with, but it just made me think yesterday. So we had a caller after we were talking about Andrew DeCecco and I and Connor, and we had people text in their answers as well. August 25th, what's your rotation? And let's do 4 men, right?
Right.
Let's not do the whole, well, in the first round, you only need 3. Like, no, we did. If you were to have to put your 4-person rotation, what would it be? And we all agreed that Christopher Sanchez would be number 1.
Right.
As of August 25th, it was Ranger Suarez. That could obviously change in a week or two. And then the debates really came to 3. Is it Luzardo? Do you want to go left, left, left? Do you care about that kind of stuff? Or do you throw in a Nola?
Yes.
But as of August 25th, we've seen one really, really bad start and one okay start. So that's what we were talking about. And we had a guy that called in, and I forget his name, and I apologize, but his point was burned into my brain. He said, even though he's been pitching very well this year, do not want to rely on a guy that's only pitched 7 total innings as my game 1 starter. And I said, well, you're crazy to say that in this current situation.
Right.
Like if Zach Wheeler was still healthy, but Christopher Sanchez was having the better season, which you could make the case that Christopher Sanchez was having the better season, you're still going with Zach Wheeler because of the experience and you feel comfortable when Zach Wheeler's going out there. If Aaron Nola was the Aaron Nola that we are used to seeing, he's probably your game 1 starter, but that Aaron Nola is not this year's Aaron Nola. So you have to start Christopher Sanchez in game 1. But I was thinking about it last night when he started having his mini meltdown.
You're like, oh, God.
Against the Mets.
Now we've got none.
And I'm sitting there going, man, I really hope that guy isn't on to something that he really doesn't have much postseason experience and could game 1 be. Because, look, you are relying on Christopher Sanchez in a big way, more so than anybody expected to now all of a sudden because of the Wheeler absence.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I feel like there's nothing about the way that he operates this year would lead you to believe that. Now, the thing you go solid with Rangers because you've seen it in the playoffs.
Correct. And that's what the guy's point was.
Like a nice, cool, calm, collected. Mm-hmm. The thing you want from your pitcher is that nothing bothers them. Christopher Sanchez has had that this year. I think he's harnessed it in a way that we hadn't seen before. He's got some really good out pitches, and I feel like the way he's been able to operate would lead me to have that confidence. Now, do I have the same level of confidence as I would in Zach Wheeler? No, but I think I have more. But I hear you when you're watching it, thinking, oh no,
this guy that called that, and I didn't like rip the guy.
He put it in your head though.
I didn't rip the guy because I understood what he was saying. Like one of the points he made was, look, I'd rather have Ranger Suarez start game 1 because I know like he's done it. I know that he's good.
Solid.
And I'd rather be up 1-0 than potentially being down 1-0. And so I understood what the caller was saying, but I think you would be crazy. What I said back to him, I said, look, if the Pirates somehow made the playoffs this year, which they're not going to, like Paul Skeens would be your game 1 starter, despite him never pitching in the postseason before. Like
he danced with the girl.
And by the way, Christopher Sanchez is.
His numbers are...
Paul Skeens away from winning the Cy Young.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he is second in odds from winning the Cy Young. So that's how good he's been. But when he said that to me yesterday, I kind of, like, fluffed it off. Don't worry about it. And then the game happened. I was like, damn.
Then it got in your head.
This is what's so weird. And it goes back to that Phillies it factor conversation. Like, Sanchez threw against this team last year in the postseason. And he went 5 innings, 2 earned. Mm-hmm. It's almost like it's just that building. The Phils took 2 or 3 off the Mets at Citizens Bank Park earlier this year. Citi Field, they got swept.
Well, it's because of the microphone out in center field.
It's absolutely not the microphone.
Are you sure?
Alec Boehm delayed the game for 10 minutes because there's a microphone in center field.
And that was dumb. It's just so weird. They go to that ballpark and they lose any sense of how to play competent baseball.
They just have to bring back Chase Utley.
Yeah, right.
By the way, all right. What's worse? I mean, what's worse? I think I know the answer. Coming to a ballpark wearing the opposition's colors, batting gloves and cleats, and having a bad game,
We're still back on this.
or complaining about the microphone, delaying the game, having it getting removed, and not getting a hit again afterward.
Microphone not even close. The microphone actually affects something other than the fan base's psyche.
B, but I sent you the screenshot of the rivalry gear.
Okay.
It's not just the Mets.
Oh no, he's doing it for all the teams.
Right.
I know.
But I thought if I'm the Marlins, I'm like, thanks. Thanks for thinking that we're a rival.
Thanks for thinking of us.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
that's
thinking
nice.
of us. Thanks for considering it.
But this is the one real rivalry. Like
Exactly.
You and I were talking about this during the commercial break earlier with Haley. If one team is bad, it's not a rivalry. Like Sixers Celtics rivalry was dead for 30 years. It was.
Correct.
We were talking about Flyers Penguins.
Yeah, when's the last time that was a rivalry?
It's not a rivalry. They are rivals on paper. The NHL will try to do rivalry week, and it'll be Flyers Penguins, and then the Flyers will lose 6-0. That's not a rivalry. Phillies Mets is, of the teams in the NL East, the true rivalry right now. So when he wears the Braves colors and the Marlins colors and the Nationals colors, all right, so be it. You go into Citi Field with the Mets colors, you better have a good game and not go 1 for 4 and make 2 boneheaded mistakes in the field.
Can't wait for him to. Should I FaceTime or text you?
If Harper and Bader both hit home runs in today's game.
I mean, that's a FaceTime, like, no matter where I am.
That's if Bader plays today. We don't know.
Yeah, that I don't know. Let's run outfield roulette, everyone. There's no chance that Castellanos sits again, though. No chance. No.
Let's see. Mad Max got a hit yesterday.
Stop it.
1 for 4. Noodle arm. All right, coming up next. I have a couple of non-Philadelphia related questions. I'm really excited for the next segment. Like, sometimes I actually enjoy it.
Sometimes I like what I do.
Like when it's not Jordan Romano bitch fest. I have a question about whether or not the masses will watch a game that I don't think, actually I know, nobody would have watched a year ago, but it might be different this year. And I have a couple other questions in the next segment that I can't wait to get to. It's Kincade and Salciunas, Amy in for John, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phils blown out in New York. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies had a terrible Game 1 up in Queens yesterday, falling to the Mets 13-3. The Phils gave up 13 unanswered runs after holding a 3-0 lead through the first 3 innings. And Christopher Sanchez, he collapsed down near the end of his start, gave up 6 runs, 5 of them earned in his worst start of the season. The offense, 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. The defense, 2 errors. The bullpen, terrible outings. And what more do you need to hear? That's the company line, though, when it comes to the Phillies playing the Mets at Citi Field. Bryce Harper talked about that building after the game.
No, I mean, it's a good team over there. Right now, it's going to play too well here. Obviously, tonight didn't go the way we wanted it to and kind of got away from them. So just got to be better, flush it as quick as possible, and get ready for tomorrow.
Phils have now lost 8 straight at Citi Field. They're going to play the Mets again tonight, 7:10 p.m. Jesus Luzardo faces Sean Manaea. Today is roster cutdown day in the NFL. Deadline for 53-man rosters to be finalized is 4 p.m. The Eagles already made some moves yesterday. Included in those waived were quarterback Kyle McCord, corner Eli Ricks, and guard Kenyon Green, who was acquired from the Texans in the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade. We'll talk to Anthony Sanfilippo of On Pattison for the latest on the Phils coming up at 9:10. This update's brought to you by Audible. Stuck in traffic? Audible's romance collection will have you falling fast in the slow lane, satisfy every side of you with rom-coms, romanticy, and the really steamy stuff. Listen free with a 30-day trial at audible.com. I'm Connor Thomas for 97.5 The Fanatic.
Join The Fanatic for the inaugural live broadcast of Unfiltered with Sylvia.
I want to start with the biggest positive development, biggest surprise. Because I guess surprise can also go negative, but I have disappointment coming up. So your biggest surprise in a positive light.
I have a
from Cam.
few.
All right. Hit me with 2 of them.
Positive surprise, Darius Cooper, the rookie wide receiver out of Tarleton State. He was sort of buried and an afterthought when the Eagles announced their undrafted rookie free agent class. Every single day he made a play, and the moment was never too big for him. He definitely proved that he belonged, and it wasn't just the splash plays. He was consistent. And for an undrafted rookie, you see those every year. Every team has them. He can play, and I do believe that he's going to make this roster.
He's going to make the 53. If you had to look at that wide receiver room right now, who's in the 53?
I would say, obviously, A.J., Devontae, Jahan, John Mechie. We'll have to wait and see about Johnny Wilson, so I'm going to take him out of this equation for now. Anais Smith being the punt returner, and Darius Cooper, he's just shown too much. And if you already have the mindset that Jahan Dotson won't be an Eagle or potentially won't be an Eagle next year, well, Darius Cooper gives you some cost-effective depth that you can kind of develop this year.
Not underestimate how good JT has been. Since June 9th, he has the best batting average of any player in the National League? Any of them. The thing I've noticed is these pitchers, Zach Wheeler in particular, they go out of their way to talk about how important he is, how valuable he is. Why is that? They're trying to send a message that they need him back. He's going to say, why should I take a pay cut? I think it's safe to say Kyle Schwarber's contract needle isn't pointing down. So this is going to be a lot more expensive to keep them both. The one thing about JT is he'll be 35 next opening day. You know how many catchers in this century have started 125 games in the season at age 35 or older? It's one. Jorge Posada. Wow. Started 127. That was 15 years ago. Again, I think that points to a shorter deal for JT, but even if it's short, he's going to want to get paid. Are the Phillies going to be able to afford, say, $45 million to re-sign JT and Kyle Schwarber per year? I mean, they're going to free up some money with Ranger and Kepler and Romano and Joe Ross.
And then we'll get back to our text messages about the Philadelphia Phillies because the text line still works.
The text line is hot today, as you can imagine, and it's mostly about one man.
Yeah, as it should be, about Jordan Romano. But honestly, again, it should be about Dave Dombrowski. As I always say, anytime somebody wants to blame Rob Thompson for certain things, I say look at Dombrowski. Anytime we want to blame Jordan Romano for just not being good, blame Dave Dombrowski. Anytime we ask why he's still on the roster, blame Dave Dombrowski. But before we get back to the text line, and again, promise the text line works because other things don't. You can text the show at 610-632-0975. A couple of things that I want to discuss. First, are you in on a game that I know that like 99% of people in this city would not have been in on to begin with? And I would say maybe 70% of the country would not have cared about TCU versus UNC Monday night, September the 1st. Now, let me tell you guys, it's an 8 o'clock kickoff. Phillies play at 4:10 against the Brewers. So we're going to be all fired up for another big series coming off of this Phillies-Mets series, then Phillies-Braves. It'll be Phillies-Brewers. But the game would be over by 8 o'clock. The reason why I bring it up, that's Hoodie's first game.
Oh, that's right.
As the head coach of the Tar Heels. I'm in. I got to see what it looks like.
Were you going to be locked in, though, or are you just going to be
I'm in.
locked
8
in
o'clock.
on a UNC football game?
What else? Phillies are done, so what else am I watching? 8 o'clock.
No, see, that's why you do it. So
if the Phillies are playing at 8 o'clock, that's a different story.
Yeah, as a person that went to a basketball school that also has football, that is how you brand yourself. Kentucky used to always play on that, like the Sunday night of or Monday of Labor Day.
Sure.
No one else was playing, so they could get like airtime. So I get what UNC's trying to do. I mean, I'll watch it for the art factor of like, let's see what,
I just want to see Bill Belichick
Darth Hoodie's got for
football
me.
again. Like, because so much was the girlfriend this year.
What is Bill Belichick football?
Yeah, but I don't know that we're going to see Bill Belichick football.
It's
Yeah.
UNC.
Yeah.
I know, but it's TCU. I don't know.
I mean, whatever Texas is going to trot out is going to be better than whatever UNC.
I want to see it. Like, I'm curious to see.
We'll see. There is a curiosity. It'll be like one of those things. Like at halftime, I might be like, meh.
Oh, 9 o'clock, I might be like, meh, because I go to bed. Because I got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. But like at 8 o'clock, when Coop's,
you'll be okay.
Coop's like usually winding down at that point. I'm locked in.
I'll be locked in to start of it just to see what it looks like. It has been such a circus with her like controlling the interviews. We're not going to answer that. Like, who are you telling this guy who's 3 times your age and is a 6-time Super Bowl champ what he's going to answer? Like, stop talking. Stop talking.
Is she the offensive coordinator? I don't.
Offensive and defensive coordinator.
Didn't they like tell her she couldn't come around the facility anymore?
They did. They did do that.
And they didn't, and now.
Did
knows?
they? Who
Unless
knows?
Vince Wilfork, Teddy Bruschi, Mike Vrabel are starting on UNC's defense because of some eligibility thing. I'm not really.
Mike Vrabel's busy. He's got a game to prepare
I'm with
for.
it, though.
Yeah, he does.
I'm with you, Andrew. I'm going to watch it.
I'm in. That's 8 o'clock on Monday night. All right, a couple other things. I understand that not everybody is a fan of Dave Portnoy for many, many reasons. Obviously, the owner of Barstool. But a couple of weeks ago, it was announced that Barstool, Dave Portnoy and Big Cat were going to be a part of the Big Noon kickoff for Fox, which I thought was a good move because
they're trying to counter the Pat McAfee.
And look, it's not just the Pat McAfee thing. College Game Day was good before Pat McAfee got there. Honestly,
it's gold. Speaking of complete sidebar, did you see the Lee Corso, like, kind of whole farewell video?
I have not seen it yet. Very good.
Excellent.
And I know they're doing a whole hour tribute on Saturday about Lee Corso, which I'm excited for.
That's like my college. I remember getting up and just watching that. It was just my favorite thing.
That's awesome.
Not so fast, my friend.
He like made it. But yes, you're right. They needed to have something a little juice. There's no juice in the Big Noon or whatever
There is none. So they're trying to find something to do. And so their first game that they're doing is this big matchup between Texas and Ohio State, 1 versus 3 in the country. And their Big Noon kickoff will be there.
Right.
But Ohio State is banning Dave Portnoy from entering the building. Oh, you did not see this?
I did not.
Oh, you're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN, HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, 8 Beasley Media Group Station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. Yeah, there's a story out that they are not going to allow him into the premises. So if you if you guys follow any of the Barstool stuff, like Roger Goodell has banned Dave Portnoy from NFL-related events, right? And they will kick him out. Like they've had security kick out Dave Portnoy in situations in the past. So their show will be outside of the building, but what they do is the last 30 minutes before kickoff, they move the set inside. I've seen it happen with the Amazon Prime games. When Connor and I did the pregame show, Bill Colarulo at Xfinity Live, we had our rinky-dink set up next to the NFL Amazon Prime setup, and it was beautiful. They had couches, blankets, fire pits, beautiful, all for a 40-minute show. And then they do the last hour inside the building. They take an extended commercial break. They have security bring them over. And so that's what they're going to do on the Big Noon kickoff. But they're not going to allow him into the building because he's a Michigan fan and has been very critical and has trolled, is their reasoning, trolled Ryan Day.
I mean, that's petty.
Yeah. What are we doing?
That's what his job is.
Yeah.
Why would you just, all right, so he's a Michigan guy. He likes Michigan. He's going to troll, obviously, his arch rivals. It'll be like me, like, if I go back to Kentucky and, like, you can't come into the Yum Center or whatever they call the Louisville place. Well, first of all, fine. But second of all, okay. Like, what are we doing?
Well, you know what? Let's ask Jeff McLean that question because we got him. We got him back. We have the Doom phone that does work. The hard line still works. That's the beauty of it. So back on the Comcast Business Hotline from the Inquirer, our man Jeff McLean joins us. Jeff, sorry about that, man. One of these days I'll crack skulls around here and get something fixed out for us and worked out.
Good day.
But the conversation just took a bit of a turn. We will ask you more about the Eagles, but I'm curious. There's a story out that Dave Portnoy of Barstool, of course, who's now part of the Big Noon kickoff for Fox, will not be allowed inside Ohio State's building because he has trolled that program and Ryan Day too much that they will be keeping him out. Could you imagine, being the journalist that you are, being banned from going to a place where you can do your job because of, sour grapes?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've run into obstacles before, but from doing my job. But I guess I don't know if Dave qualifies as a journalist. So
good call.
That's a very good call. That's a very good call. I just couldn't imagine actually banning somebody from coming to your building because of trolling. But you're right. You're right. He is not a journalist.
Tried. Yeah, teams have certainly tried, and to some extent have succeeded over the years. But the Dave Portnoy thing. He probably likes it. I don't know. I mean,
kind of feeds into
it. You're right. He's probably getting the publicity he wants. All right. So before the phone lines crapped out on us, obviously we were talking about roster cutdown day. We heard what you said. It was just choppy. So thanks for calling back in. We appreciate it, man. Wide receiver, I think that's been one of the positions that a lot of people have been keeping an eye on in terms of how many bodies they will keep. How many bodies do you think they will keep? And of the healthy players, who do you believe will be the odd man out?
Yeah, 5 or 6. I mean, Johnny Wilson's season-ending injuries made it more likely that Ainias Smith or Darius Cooper makes the team. I had Ainias out, and because I think that there's a good chance they could just bring him back on the practice squad. Whereas Cooper may have a little value. I know one's drafted versus the other that isn't. Cooper's a rookie, undrafted rookie. They went out and got John Mechie. He's, at this point, needs to learn the offense. They got to give him some time to develop and work out chemistry with Jalen Hurts. So I think he's in as the 4th guy. And I wouldn't be surprised to see how he make a move. I mean, Johnny Wilson, I know he's like the 4th or 5th guy, but he did fill a role as that blocking wide receiver on certain rundowns. And Mechie, I guess, can do that, and certainly Cooper could in terms of his size, but you got to go out there and do it, and I don't know if they'll trust either in that role. So, they could go out and do something on wide receiver too, and then, the reason why they got Mechie partially was because, if AJ or Devontae goes down, how much do you trust the next guy up? But that's kind of how I see it. If it's 6, then Ainias stays. If it's 5, I think he's out, but it could be Cooper too.
When you look at how this roster is going to shake out, are there ones that you're thinking, well, this guy has done enough right now, no matter what they do elsewhere? Because I feel like they're always right. Howie Roseman's always going to look for some move. There's always going to be some scanning of the wire, but there's going to be a guy like a Cooper that's no matter what else happens that he's definitely in. Is there anybody that stands out to you like that, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's guys at each position. Like Tristan McCullum is the 4th safety, right? Has he done enough to stay on the roster? Do they want to upgrade there? Because Andrew Makuba has a groin injury, or add someone right there because you're not sure when he'll be back. Sidney Brown, how comfortable are you there with him starting? So do you add kind of someone off the waiver wire? Now the Eagles are last on the waiver wire, so it's going to be hard to kind of work that angle. So it's more likely by trade. I think cornerback, same thing. Jacorian Bennett, who they just traded for. I mentioned them earlier. Did he do enough? Or do you think, or do they see this guy as someone who needs to spend some time to learn Vic Fangio's scheme? Offensive line is a real jumble. Now the moves that Howie Roseman made over the weekend with reacquiring Fred Johnson and dealing Darian Kennard kind of clears that picture a little more. But does Trevor Keegan slip through? As he's entering his 2nd year. Brett Toth kind of fills the same role, backup interior lineman. Toth can kick outside, but he's also a vested veteran. So do you want to, have him make the initial 53 and have to pay him his salary for the entire year? So there's all those variables that Howie Roseman has to consider as he's looking at those last few roster spots.
If Sidney Brown ends up being your starting 2nd safety next to Reed Blankenship, curious, how short is his leash? If you remember last year, Cooper DeJean didn't get the start because he was hurt during camp and eventually takes over after that Week 5 bye. They draft Drew Makuba in the 2nd round for a reason, but he's been banged up throughout camp. Is Sidney Brown going to start Week 1 and, hey, he's your starting moving forward, or is there a short leash on him?
Yeah, I got to imagine there's a short leash, and he's starting probably by default to some extent. I felt like Andrew Makuba was trending towards being the starter after a second preseason performance, and what we saw in practice, he was kind of taking some of the snaps, and in fact, I think one practice had more snaps with the first team than Cindy Brown, but then all of a sudden he had the second injury of camp with the groin, following a shoulder injury. Sydney, I think had a good camp, right? Nothing like mind-blowing. He also plays a position in Vic Fangio's scheme when, you're playing those two high safety shells. It's like, it's hard to kind of, gauge how well or not he's doing. Sometimes it's good to not stand out. Sometimes it's good to stand out at that position. Only really Vic knows when he's watching the film over and over. We don't really have access to that. You can see, you can rewatch what he did in the preseason. Had some good moments, had some not so great not so great moments. But again, I think that's a position that I would say the Eagles probably feel a little more comfortable with than at cornerback, because they went and drafted these guys, and I think they feel vested in terms of the commitment there. Whereas at quarterback, I'm not so sure with Adoree Jackson. I don't know if you're even going to ask that next, but if we're going to transition to that position, 1-year deal, veteran at this point in his career, has he lost his step? Has Jacorian Bennett done enough? Eli Ricks kind of seemed to be kind of slipping on, further down the depth chart as camp went on, and then he got hurt again. So all this to consider as we get closer to the deadline.
You mentioned when we had you on quickly before the Kyle McCord, and I think you hit the nail on the head a bit. It's surprising when you look at it in a vacuum, because they did draft him and they're a little bit more reluctant to kind of jettison those players too early. But when they made the Sam Howell move, what are the chances that McCord does make it to the practice squad? Or do you think that people just see, quarterbacks are at a premium around the league, backup quarterbacks certainly, or guys that they can see as fulfilling that role eventually in Kyle McCord's case?
Yeah, and I think there was some question whether they'd keep 4 when Dorian Thompson Robinson kind of at the beginning of camp look, maybe this guy's got something. Do they keep 4? As you mentioned, it is a premium position. I never really felt like that was going to be an option for the Eagles, just because not only because they've never done it, but because you're trying to build. I know you have to weigh the short term with the long term. They're trying to win a Super Bowl. They need as many guys at other positions to help them. I know you have now kind of like a 69-man roster with the practice squad, ability to call up those guys. McCord, I think fans saw it in the final preseason game and the other ones too. We saw it at practice all the time. He just didn't have it yet. Now the question for the Eagles is do they think he's ever going to have it? And the Sam Howell trade suggests that maybe they didn't think he would. And now, look, part of that was the Tanner McKee broken thumb, and if he's not going to be ready by the season opener, you need to have a viable option there as a backup. Sam Howell has started in the NFL, has won games in the NFL. You couldn't certainly put Kyle McCord in that situation in case Jalen Hurts gets hurt. But I think the bigger reason for acquiring Sam Howell is you're looking at the future. You need a number 3 that you think can either develop as a rookie into a future backup, or you need a guy that has done it in the league, and you think, okay, I can figure out what went wrong with Sam Howell at various other spots, and I can kind of get him back to playing when he's at his peak, or we can develop him, and the Eagles have had success doing that over the years, so that if we do trade Tanner McKee does fetch a second-rounder next offseason, perhaps even a first-rounder next offseason, we have an option for a backup for Jalen Hurts moving forward. And I think they think that Sam Howell has that has that kind of promise.
All right, Jeff. Listen, man, thanks for dealing with our wacky phone system. We appreciate you still coming back on. And we'll talk to you next week, 2 days before kickoff. Can't wait.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Jeff McClain on the Comcast Business Hotline. Go to theinquirer.com/sports, and, of course, check out his incredible podcast, Uncovering the Birds. All right, coming up next, I still have a couple more random questions for you. We'll check our text line on the Phillies and the Mets and the Jordan Romano fiasco. By the way, breaking news, Tommy DeVito released by the
Tommy
Giants.
Cutlets.
Tommy Cutlets.
Say it ain't so.
The dream is over. The
The
weird,
North Jersey Shore.
the weird
Pours
agent.
one out.
The weird agent that clearly made it about himself.
That guy was amazing. I'm going to miss seeing him on the sideline.
I'm not, Amy.
He was awesome.
I'm not. All right. We'll be back right here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Philly fans, you are the best sports fans in the world.
I want to start with the biggest positive development, biggest surprise. Because I guess surprise can also go negative, but I have disappointment coming up. So your biggest surprise in a positive light.
I have a
from Cam.
few.
All right. Hit me with two of them.
Positive surprise, Darius Cooper, the rookie wide receiver out of Tarleton State. He was sort of buried and an afterthought when the Eagles announced their undrafted rookie free agent class. Every single day he made a play, and the moment was never too big for him. He definitely proved that he belonged, and it wasn't just the splash plays. He was consistent. And for an undrafted rookie, you see those every year. Every team has them. He can play, and I do believe that he's going to make this roster.
He's going to make the 53. If you had to look at that wide receiver room right now, who's in the 53?
I would say, obviously, AJ, Devontae, Jahan, John Mechie. We'll have to wait and see about Johnny Wilson, so I'm going to take him out of this equation for now. Anais Smith being the punt returner, and Darius Cooper, he's just shown too much. And if you already have the mindset that Jahan Dotson won't be an Eagle or potentially won't be an Eagle next year, well, Darius Cooper gives you some cost-effective depth that you can kind of develop this year.
Not underestimate how good JT has been. Since June 9th, he has the best batting average of any player in the National League? Any of them. The thing I've noticed is these pitchers, Zach Wheeler in particular, they go out of their way to talk about how important he is, how valuable he is. Why is that? They're trying to send a message that they need him back. He's going to say, why should I take a pay cut? I think it's safe to say Kyle Schwarber's contract needle isn't pointing down. So this is going to be a lot more expensive to keep them both. The one thing about JT is he'll be 35 next opening day. You know how many catchers in this century have started 125 games in the season at age 35 or older? It's one.
One?
Jorge Posada. Wow. Started 127. That was 15 years ago. Again, I think that points to a shorter deal for JT, but even if it's short, he's going to want to get paid. Are the Phillies going to be able to afford, say, $45 million to re-sign JT and Kyle Schwarber per year? I mean, they're going to free up some money with Ranger and Kepler and Romano and Joe Ross and Alvarado if they don't pick up his option. But I think you're asking me, can they afford to sign both? You should really be asking John Middleton. It's his call.
And for Johnny today. Real quick before we get back to our text messages, because I want to hear from the people about the Phillies. The Cleveland Browns and the fiasco that they continue to have, obviously so much attention on the quarterback saga that is going on. They still haven't signed their second-round pick.
I mean,
their running back, Quinshawn Judkins, who they have not signed yet, could go back to college. He has the right, because of eligibility, to decide that he wants to go back to college.
I guess it's like baseball. They draft the rights to the player, but if you don't sign him, they can do whatever.
Yeah, but that normally happens, I don't know.
Well, he's got the legal issue, right?
Right, and that's what led to them not signing
So I
him.
think that they haven't signed him, but and so you have to resolve that. The NFL has to weigh in, but that's also like the catch-22 because the NFL's waiting to see if he's even going to be an NFL player.
Right.
So that's a very strange situation.
But he might go back to college.
Wouldn't you be reluctant to draft that guy next year?
They're Cleveland, so they might just do it again.
They might take him in the
Legal
first
issues for the
round.
Cleveland Browns? They
may,
ain't too worried.
They may take him in the first round for all we know. All right, what are the people saying? I know today's been a day of venting and frustration. I've had my share of things to say. What are the people saying on the text line?
All right. Well, a lot of people are very mad at a certain person, so we've got a bunch of Jordan Romano texts. This texter says Romano's August ERA is so high it could drive a car, over 21, so age enough, ridiculous. We have someone saying Romano needs to go to the injured list or needs to be DFA'd. Call up anybody else. How long is the leash? Is it a 10 ERA, 15? What are we doing?
He because he was given a week off, technically, and then pitched yesterday and gave up 4 more earned runs. The fake injured list, that's off the table. There is only one move that you can make, and it's DFA.
Yes.
Or send him to AAA. I don't know what his contract looks like. Like he can't pitch again for the Phillies this year. He can't. And if anybody, Rob Thompson, Dave Dombrowski, Caleb Cotham, JT Realmuto, if anybody believes that he still has stuff enough that they think, all right, he will figure this out. It's kind of like Gregory Soto, right? Like Gregory Soto was throwing 100 miles an hour but couldn't find the zone. But you go, man, if he can just find it. Much like Jose Alvarado. Man, if he can just find the zone. And what happened? He found the zone, and he was great. Jordan Romano does not have out stuff.
No.
He has home run stuff.
What was the quote? He's like, he kills it in innings.
He kills innings.
Yeah, he
Rob Thompson,
does.
but
Sure does.
Sure does. What else we got?
All right. We also have, sometimes you go too far a little bit when you have a bad game like that last night. And this texter checks in, says, the pandering to Kyle Schwarber needs to stop too. He's just as much to blame for the issues. He has been ice cold since the last game versus the Mariners.
What do we...
Wait.
Yeah, but first off, he did drive in a run yesterday. Ground out. But, Schwarber's last game against the Nationals, he had 5 RBI.
Yeah,
you're giving a few days.
Yeah.
You're giving a few days. He's if he does not win National League MVP, he's going to be the runner-up.
Right. It was an awful game last night. Terrible. Everything was bad. We don't need to now say every player on this team stinks, and we need to be mad at all.
You get a bit of a leash.
That's okay. That's like a little Wizard of Oz. Don't look over here. There's one thing we're looking at.
If Jordan Romano is still on this baseball team, Kyle Schwarber's got...
Kyle Schwarber should go in and be like, hey, I know they haven't told you, but I'm here to tell you.
I don't even think it's a leash. He's got a whole planet. He's fine. My God. All right, speaking of the Phillies, Ant Sanfilippo joins us coming up next from On Patterson to talk about the Phillies fiasco, Game 1 of the Mets series. Do they turn things around? That would be nice. It's Kincade and Salciunas, Amy and for John, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
A nightmare in New York. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies had a terrible Game 1 up in New York yesterday. They lost 13-3 to the Mets. It was an embarrassing performance, and all 13 of those runs were scored unanswered after the Phillies had a 3-0 lead through 3 innings. Christopher Sanchez gave up 6 runs, 5 of them earned, his worst start of the season so far. And the offense was 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Defense, 2 errors. The bullpen, some bad performances out of that. It was all around awful, and that's been par for the course at Citi Field. Bryce Harper talked about it after the game.
No, it's a good team over there. Right now, we don't play too well here. Obviously, tonight didn't go the way we wanted it to, and kind of got away from them. So, just got to be better, flush it as quick as possible, and get ready for tomorrow.
The Phillies have now lost their last 8 games in a row at Citi Field. They'll play the Mets tonight, 7:10, up there in Queens. Jesus Luzardo faces Sean Manaea. Today's roster cutdown day in the NFL. Deadline's 4 p.m., but the Eagles made some moves yesterday ahead of that. They waived Kyle McCord, Eli Ricks, guard Kenyon Green, who was acquired from Houston in the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade, along with numerous other players as the race to 53 continues to go. Anthony Sanfilippo of On Patterson joins us coming up next. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Hall of
I want to start with the biggest positive development, biggest surprise. Because I guess surprise can also go negative, but I have disappointment coming up. So your biggest surprise in a positive light.
I have a
from Camp.
few.
All right. Hit me with 2 of them.
Positive surprise, Darius Cooper, the rookie wide receiver out of Tarleton State. He was sort of buried and an afterthought when the Eagles announced their undrafted rookie free agent class. Every single day he made a play, and the moment was never too big for him. He definitely proved that he belonged, and it wasn't just the splash plays. He was consistent. And for an undrafted rookie, you see those every year. Every team has them. He can play, and I do believe that he's going to make this roster.
He's going to make the 53. If you had to look at that wide receiver room right now, who's in the 53?
I would say, obviously, AJ, Devontae, Jahan, John Mechie. We'll have to wait and see about Johnny Wilson, so I'm going to take him out of this equation for now. Anais Smith being the punt returner, and Darius Cooper, he's just shown too much. And if you already have the mindset that Jahan Dotson won't be an Eagle or potentially won't be an Eagle next year, well, Darius Cooper gives you some cost-effective depth that you can kind of develop this year.
Not underestimate how good JT has been. Since June 9th, he has the best batting average of any player in the National League? Any of them. The thing I've noticed is these pitchers, Zach Wheeler in particular, they go out of their way to talk about how important he is, how valuable he is. Why is that? They're trying to send a message that they need him back. He's going to say, why should I take a pay cut? I think it's safe to say Kyle Schwarber's contract needle isn't pointing down. So this is going to be a lot more expensive to keep them both. The one thing about JT is he'll be 35 next opening day. You know how many catchers in this century have started 125 games in the season at age 35 or older? It's one. Jorge Posada. Started 127. That was 15 years ago. Again, I think that points to a shorter deal for JT, but even if it's short, he's going to want to get paid. Are the Phillies going to be able to afford, say, $45 million to re-sign JT and Kyle Schwarber per year? I mean, they're going to free up some money with Ranger and Kepler and Romano and Joe Ross.
His rivalry game.
And then having a bad game when doing that. Alec Boehm pointing out microphones after hitting a 2-run single. He didn't point them out, but then after hitting into a double play, he did point them out. and just a lot of issues with this baseball team that will still win 90-plus games and probably win the NL East. But joining us now on the Comcast Business Hotline, where every day in business is a big day, let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. From on Patterson, does a tremendous job covering the Phillies and the Flyers. Our man Ant Sanfilippo joins us. Ant, good morning. How are we doing, brother?
Well, you know what it is? I think it's me. I think that every time I've been to a Phillies game in the city of New York, they have lost.
Well, then you need to stop. Then you need to stop going.
Come on home, okay? So just get on the train. And we'll see you in a minute.
But I get it. You wanted to go see a marquee matchup, and the Phillies decided to show up for 3 innings and then decided to go to sleep the rest of the way the second that 3-0 lead went away. All the critiques that this team gets about how they're front runners and how they get tight whenever it's a rough spot. Last night was one of those games for the people that say that where they go, yeah, this is exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think last night was they were doing everything right off the bat. They looked good against Senga. The Mets looked disinterested. They couldn't touch Sanchez the first 3 innings. And then it was the Citi Field Gremlins that got them. And once that starts to happen and the doubt creeps into their mind, then I think that's what happened. They didn't get a hit after the 4th inning. They completely imploded defensively. Sanchez had his worst outing of the year, really. And then, of course, the bullpen was a disaster. So, everything that could go wrong did go wrong, and it snowballed on them quick. That's the problem more than anything else, is that it goes fast with the Phillies. They looked good for a while, and you thought, okay, this is going to be it. They're going to finally break this, get off this schneid in New York, and then all of a sudden, one little thing goes wrong, and it just went down the hill very fast.
Well, and I think that's the thing. It does go down the hill, but it seems to go downhill quicker and more egregiously against the Mets. And maybe you're looking at that's 8 straight losses in Citi Field right now. They're 2-5 overall. And you're looking at what can make it better, what's going to be different. The first thing has to be, and I know we're beating the dead horse here, but Jordan Romano cannot trot him out anymore, certainly in this series. But I'm going to go ahead and say anymore and just put a period at the end of that sentence.
Yeah, I mean, some of us, Amy, were saying back in a month ago that it should have been, he should have been let go, DFA'd, whatever. I don't know, and I don't know how they brought him back after the trade deadline. I really don't know how you bring him back out there and have him pitch another inning this season after last night. And the one thing I thought was kind of interesting was after he gives up the home run, normally in that spot, a manager will pull the pitcher. He had faced 5 batters at that point, thrown a bunch of pitches. He left him in, and that's usually a sign that, okay, we're just going to let this guy wear it because he's not going to be here tomorrow. So Rob didn't say that after the game. He said, we have to see what's up with him tomorrow. I think that there's a possibility that they have one of those phantom IL stints with him for some reason, but at the same time, I don't think that you're going to see Romano pitch again for a long time.
Well, then what's the point of even doing the phantom IL stint? I get it. You're trying to be as respectful as possible, but
there you go.
He has disrespected you. He has disrespected the contract. He's disrespected this fan base. Honestly, and it got to the point where today I said I felt bad for him, because he's going out there and trying his best, and he's just abysmal. So even if you do the phantom IL stint, you can't bring him back.
Yeah, I guess the notion of it is that once things are locked up and you need guys to just eat some innings rather than put them on the guys that are going to be contributors in the postseason, he's an arm that you can have throw those innings at the end of September that maybe don't matter. And rather than do roster gymnastics with a 40-man, that's really the only rationale I can give you. Same thing with Joe Ross. I mean, Joe Ross is terrible too, not to the extent of Jordan Romano, but he's another guy that's probably not going to be used in October. I think it's kind of the same thing with both of them. You're just going to use you 2 guys when games are out of hand and don't matter, so that we don't have to put innings on other guys. And I think that's the only reason you can justify even putting him on the IL.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. It's a predicament, and you've made the predicament, which is unfortunate. So they've kind of put themselves in this bed, and now they're choosing to lie in it. And you just want to just remove the covers. Just the bed's done. We're no more sitting in this one. But there's other things you need to do, because I know these are not must-win games, but when you think about where they are in the standings and how many games there are left, you need to take one from the Mets. Not just for the standings, which is obviously very important, but don't you need to take some for your mentality, just your overall morale? Like, you can't let this team continue to beat you, especially in Citi Field.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, you don't want to. I think that they kind of slightly let him up off the mat last night and gave him a puncher's chance, right? I mean, the Phillies are probably still going to win the National League East without much issue. Correct. Even if they get swept, it's still a 4-game lead with 29 to go. You're probably not blowing that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you're right. Like, if in fact you run into this team in October and you haven't won in Citi Field, and then all of a sudden you got to play games up here, that's an issue, right? That becomes a mental thing, a mental block. So yeah, I agree. They have to get at least one. You'd prefer it to be tonight because it kind of says, okay, it's the third game, you want to win it, but it doesn't necessarily matter as much. Because if you lose this game tonight, now all of a sudden there's a major pressure that you're starting to feel, even if it's not necessarily immediate for the division.
Right.
And Sanfilippo from On Patterson joins us here on the Comcast Business Hotline. And the platoon in the outfield, I think one thing people don't necessarily think about is potentially losing players. We already know that Harrison Bader was upset a couple of weeks ago, which is why they had to approach Nick Castellanos to take a day off to let Bader get into the lineup. At what point do you start worrying about maybe losing a guy like Nick Castellanos? Because I don't think a guy that was upset for being pulled in the 7th inning of a baseball game for defensive purposes is probably all that happy that he's now taking on a platoon role.
Yeah, I don't think he's happy about it per se. The one thing is that I think that what they're trying to do is between the 4 guys against right-handed pitching, because obviously they're going to play Weston Wilson against a lefty. But between the 4 of them against right-handers, they're going to kind of just rotate them around and see which 3 guys get hot here down the stretch for October. And that's kind of how they're doing it. It's a mix and match. It's not a straight platoon. I'm pretty confident Castellanos is going to play the next 2 games. One of them will be against a right-hander. I'd be a little surprised if he doesn't play tomorrow against a righty. And you know what? So far, it's pretty much worked, at least for 3 of them. Castellanos has hit a little bit. Kepler's hit a little bit. Bader's hit a little bit. Marsh is the one that's struggling. He did get a hit last night, but he was 1 for 4. Didn't look all that great. I wonder what it ends up being ultimately, but I think for the next month or so, they're just going to kind of, play it this way and see what 3 guys are the best 3 when they have to go up against a right-handed pitcher come October.
Yeah, it's something we've talked about, and it's frustrating, though it's on my level of frustrations. It's down there now. But when you're looking at teams that are contenders, they don't have this kind of run the roulette wheel of outfielders. And that's been a little bit frustrating to see because you're thinking like, well, we're playing piecemeal. We're matching up here, here, and here. And you do have some of that. But when you're thinking about it, wouldn't it be a little bit easier is not the right word, but more productive if they just, all right, well, this is who we're rolling with. But I mean, maybe that's just wishful thinking on my part.
Well, no, I think that's ultimately what they want to get to, right? I think that's what their goal here, and they're looking at it and saying we have 4 veteran players. Marsh is the youngest of the 4, right, and he's been around for a bit. We have 4 veteran guys, and we're going to basically let them compete for their time, and whichever 3 are going best at the end of September are the 3 we're going to lean on the most in October. Not to say it's definite that they're going to be every game, but that's who they're going to lean on.
And as of August 26th, obviously this can continue to change. Who is your 4-man rotation in order come playoff time for the Phillies starters?
To me, I think it's a question of whether you're in the wild card series or you're in the division series. And to keep in mind also, you're not going to need a 4th starter until the NLCS because of the off day in the division series this year. But it's obviously Sanchez still won, even though he got touched up a bit last night. I don't worry about that. I think it's one bad start. Rangers got to be in there, whether he's game 2 or game 3. I think it depends on which series you're talking about. And then it's going to be Aaron Nola, assuming he pitches like he pitched on Saturday. If he regresses back to the guy he was earlier in this season, then then you got to go to Luzardo. And I know it's 3 lefties and it's not ideal, but that's where you're at. But if Nola can be pitched like he did on Saturday, 6 innings, 2 runs, keep you in games, I think that's totally fine as your third guy. And I think Luzardo, for the first 2 rounds at least, is going to be the guy that comes out of the pen. And maybe if Nola's got a short leash, you're pulling him after he gives up a couple runs in 3 innings, then Luzardo can come in and pitch multiple innings for you as a piggyback. So I think that's kind of how it's going to go. I think there is a possibility that Nola pitches a game 2 in one series and Ranger in game 3, depending on the matchup, depending on where the games are, et cetera, et cetera. But I do think that I think Sanchez and Suarez are definitely 2 of the 3. And then the third one is still to be determined.
And we appreciate the time as always, man. Thanks for moving around your schedule a little bit for us as well. We appreciate that. And we'll talk to you again down the road, especially as we get closer to Red October.
Sounds good. No problem, guys.
There is Ant Sanfilippo on the Comcast Business Hotline. Does a great job covering the Phillies for On Patterson. All right, coming up next, we have our key 3 best minutes from today's show. We'll sneak in more Jordan Romano text messages because I'm sure that's what the majority of them are. Also, right before Ant came on, I found an absolute sicko football article. If you are a diehard football fan, this is a sicko article. And I can't wait to give it to you guys coming up next. It's Kincade and Salciunas, Amy in for John, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Join the Fanatic for the inaugural live broadcast of Unfiltered with Silvana Kelleher, Ricky Bowe, and
I want to start with the biggest positive development, biggest surprise. Because I guess surprise can also go negative, but I have disappointment coming up. So your biggest surprise in a positive light.
I have a few.
All right. Hit me with 2 of them.
Positive surprise, Darius Cooper, the rookie wide receiver out of Tarleton State. He was sort of buried and an afterthought when the Eagles announced their undrafted rookie free agent class. Every single day he made a play, and the moment was never too big for him. He definitely proved that he belonged, and it wasn't just the splash plays. He was consistent. And for an undrafted rookie, you see those every year. Every team has them. He can play, and I do believe that he's going to make this roster.
He's going to make the 53. If you had to look at that wide receiver room right now, who's in the 53?
I would say, obviously, A.J., Devontae, Jahan, John Mechie. We'll have to wait and see about Johnny Wilson, so I'm going to take him out of this equation for now. Anais Smith being the punt returner, and Darius Cooper, he's just shown too much. And if you already have the mindset that Jahan Dotson won't be an Eagle or potentially won't be an Eagle next year, well, Darius Cooper gives you some cost-effective depth that you can kind of develop this year.
Not underestimate how good JT has been. Since June 9th, he has the best batting average of any player in the National League? Any of them. The thing I've noticed is these pitchers, Zach Wheeler in particular, they go out of their way to talk about how important he is, how valuable he is. Why is that? They're trying to send a message that they need him back. He's going to say, why should I take a pay cut? I think it's safe to say Kyle Schwarber's contract needle isn't pointing down. So this is going to be a lot more expensive to keep them both. The one thing about JT is he'll be 35 next opening day. You know how many catchers in this century have started 125 games in the season at age 35 or older? It's one. Jorge Posada. Jorge Posada started 127. That was 15 years ago. Again, I think that points to a shorter deal for JT, but even if it's short, he's going to want to get paid. Are the Phillies going to be able to afford, say, $45 million to re-sign JT and Kyle Schwarber per year? I mean,
Connor, I told Amy about it during the commercial break. Amy Fadulin for John Kincade this morning.
This is wild.
This is a True for Sickos article.
Okay. Hit me with it.
And I love it because, as you guys love to point out, I'm 31 going on 60. There are things in sports that I believe old is still better than new. Like there's these new age beliefs that I don't totally buy into sometimes. And we saw it with the running game with the Eagles this past year. Hey, let's go back to the ground game. And look at what happened. We won the Super Bowl, and the Ravens were one of the better teams, and the Packers were one of the better teams. The Chiefs, by the way, ran the football effectively over the last couple of years during their dynasties. The Patriots were not afraid to run the football, but Mike McDaniel and Sean McVay and those guys know what football truly is, and it's pre-snap motion all the time and passing the ball 600 times. So, first off, incredible name, Chase Goodbread, who writes for the Tuscaloosa News,
I'm always chasing good bread.
Did a deep dive article, and I mean this is sicko stuff, but I love it. I love sicko football content. The teams: Alabama, Arizona State, Boise State, Clemson, Georgia, Indiana, LSU, Miami, Michigan, Missouri, Nebraska, Notre Dame, Ole Miss, Penn State, Texas. 15 top colleges, football colleges.
High level, big boys.
Their success rate in 2024 on the 1 yard line when they have been under center versus in the gun. I love this kind of stuff because the new age is let's go into the gun, which it's like, no, let's play real football here like the Eagles do with the tush push. So he did the success rate. Damn it. What do you know? Under center was more successful than in the gun. 56% of the times they scored touchdowns out of shotgun. So almost half the time they got stopped. 73% of the time under center resulted in a touchdown.
Yeah.
And as Chase Goodbread points out, despite the disparity of 17%, offensive coordinators still called the shotgun formation more often, 90 versus 72.
I think people just see the under center and think, no, we can't do that. That doesn't look like 2025 football, so we ain't doing it.
Why? I don't get it.
I don't know, old man, why?
If one works and one doesn't, why? Now, for some of those schools, Arizona State, Boise State, Miami, and Notre Dame, they saw more success out of the shotgun. Some of them by a very slim margin. But
some of that might be personnel driven. But I like
heavy running back schools in a couple of those. Scatterbo, Genty.
Line. Obviously, you have to see what your own line. But I like that it's a good sampling of high level play.
Alabama, 100%. They were successful 100% under center. Only 43% in the gun.
Yeah.
Like that's a huge difference.
Now here's what I will say.
Let me take an offensive lineman from Alabama.
Yeah, right.
Damn right.
Good thing to have. Different in college doesn't necessarily translate to the NFL because the size difference between the big boys is a lot more comparable in the NFL than it is in college.
Right, but here's one of the points that Chase Goodbread is also making.
I love it.
Much like the Atlanta Falcons game last year, where instead of just trying to run in for the touchdown, you threw in for the touchdown. Very elemental way to look at it. More things have to go right to complete a pass than to carry the football. Hike, handoff, versus hike, drop back, don't get sacked, don't fumble snap. Guy needs to get open, throw to open receiver, hopefully not into double coverage so it's intercepted. A lot of things have to go right. I know I'm making it sound very elemental when I say that. When you do the shotgun, there's a risk of a snap over the head. And he does, I'm going to spare you the time. He put in the percentage of times the snap was a bad snap in shotgun. Whether completely over the head or it just messed up the play. Like it's a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, and it threw off. Like they did a deep dive breakdown of it. I love it.
I do too. Yeah, I'll just continue to say, like, the NFL is a bit of a different beast when it comes to that because speed plays so much more in the modern NFL than size. And the Eagles, they absolutely utilized their size last year. But it's just like if Alabama's playing Georgia Southern, they should have 90+% success from the 1 yard line under center. The NFL, there are big boys on the other side too.
They're going to stop doing that, thankfully, now with the 9 conference games.
Yeah, right?
So
Good thing.
relieved.
Give us games that actually matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of like 3 cupcakes, 4 cupcakes.
Week 1's nice. I like it.
But I
give
love
us,
this for you.
Give us a text message before we get to our
Chase
Q3.
Goodbread.
How about
Shout out.
yeah, right? Get money, pretty much.
He's
is
going
how
to
his
get clicks
name
in the
translates.
Philadelphia area.
Yes, he will.
People are looking for that article right now.
All right, so let's go with the trio of just reaction to Jordan Romano because we're getting a bunch of great stuff there. The folks are loving to tune in on Jordan Romano today. This texter says, I will be popping the champagne when the DFA Jordan Romano tweet comes through, much like your Tobias Harris.
Yeah, I had Tobias Harris Day and Korkmaz Day. Those are my 2 celebratory days.
Korkmaz felt unnecessary. Romano makes Brandon Workman look like...
You can't light a rim on fire and do a highlight reel when you stink.
It was kind of sick. Romano makes Brandon Workman look like prime Aroldis Chapman.
Oh, wow.
You know what?
Workman.
Let's see. Let me look up Brandon Workman's.
No, don't.
Why would you do that to us?
Because this is the point to make that Brandon Workman is better than Jordan Romano. 6.92 ERA with the Phillies in 14 games.
We take that right
14 games. 14. So extrapolate that out to what are we seeing?
Yeah, but he never had the chance to the month of May. You know, Jordan had the month of May where he brought the ERA down.
We clipped him off.
All right. It is time now for the Kincade Salciunas, but today, Amy Fadul, Key 3.
Now, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
Do you worry if the Phillies have it, like the it factor? Because yesterday was a spot where you could have gone in with your chest out. In New York, which is a big city still, regardless of what we say about hashtag LOL Mets, right? Like, it is New York. Last year, that team knocked you out of the playoffs, and you were embarrassed by them. The recent stretch that these two teams were going on, the Mets were playing embarrassing baseball. The Phillies were playing good baseball. And yet, as soon as they walk into that stadium, or maybe after the 3rd inning, I should say, they floundered. I'm just going to say this flat out, and I think I'm not the first person in Philadelphia to say, he needs to be DFA'd today! He stinks!
Like, there are so many problems when, obviously, losing Zach Wheeler was just, you just thought, gosh, no, of all the players, you can't lose him. Because if you're looking at the playoffs, that's a key.
Right.
But because of the injuries to the starting pitching, and some of the bullpen pieces, it's like you had to keep him. You're looking around the room, and you're like, oh, really?
You mean to tell me?
You're still here?
You mean to tell me Max Lazar can't do slightly better than Jordan Romano?
I'm in an 8.23 ERA for
8.23 ERA. I would not like to see the Mets in the playoffs. A, because I despise them with every bit of my body. And B, because they knocked you out yesterday.
And it's not a good matchup. It's not a good matchup. We all remember it last year. Nothing's really changed. We all talked about at the trade deadline what the Mets did. They certainly have shored up parts of their bullpen. Their bats, though their stats don't say it, are very good at the top of them. Obviously, we know that. So, yeah, you don't want to face the Mets. I think that's the worst case scenario because then there are some people out there, and I've talked to them, and you probably have too, like, oh, if you face the Mets, you would exercise your demons. Let's not flirt with disaster. Let's just, go ahead and try to eliminate them. Don't even think about it. But it was such a big tone setter when you come out and you have a 3-0 lead.
Yeah.
And you have your ace. This is your ace now, right? Christopher Sanchez, he has the weird complete caught thing, and it just seemed to derail. But you brought up the point. They just seemed to cave after that.
And I wouldn't be surprised to see how he make a move. I mean, Johnny Wilson, I know he's like the 4th or 5th guy, but he did fill a role as that blocking wide receiver on certain rundowns. And Mechie, I guess, can do that. And certainly Cooper could in terms of his size, but you got to go out there and do it. And I don't know if they'll trust either in that role. So, they could go out and do something at wide receiver too. And then, the reason why they got Mechie partially was because, if AJ or Devontae goes down, how much do you trust the next guy up?
All right, that was the Kincade Salciunas Key 3 best minutes from today's show. Amy Fadul in for Johnny, who was on vacation. Saw this tweet from Matt Gelb this morning. He tweeted it out last night. So Jordan Romano, whose ERA is 8.23 and 42 2/3 innings. They got to keep him on the team for a little bit longer because now I'm rooting for history.
Oh, no.
The highest mark for a Phillies pitcher with a 40-plus innings pitched since that, Reggie Grabowski in 1934, in case you were wondering. He had a 9.23 ERA. Now pitching for the Phillies, Reggie Grabowski.
Old Grabowski out here.
Grabowski, it's been a tough season. The ERA
Another home run
ballooning
given
over
up by
9.
Grabowski.
They were throwing peanuts at him back in the day.
That's the first time we've ever seen a home run.
They booed him.
Yeah, he definitely got when they were in their coats.
Yes.
In the top
their
hats. Top hats, yeah. They definitely
Yeah,
booed
their
him.
I
pipes.
say, this guy's
This
terrible.
guy.
When was the battery created? Were they throwing batteries?
Stop it.
What are you throwing in 1934?
I said, they'll throw peanuts, Cracker Jack.
The program? Like the
program.
game day program? Get your programs, yeah? Like I wonder
They
what
probably
you
still
throw-
did the tomatoes, the fruit
Oh.
and stuff.
Did they bring the fruit with them?
Maybe make a little sandwich, take it down to the ballpark.
Well, I don't know what the rules were back then. Were you allowed to bring
Probably
food in the
just bring it.
stadium?
Yeah, I'm sure you could.
Dude, there
There were no rules. You just walked
You
in.
could smoke in the dugout.
Exactly.
By the way, first battery was created in 1899. So,
There you go.
so there may have been batteries being thrown at Reggie Grabowski. With all due respect to the Grabowski family, they might be around listening to the show right now. I apologize. All right, make sure you support life-saving cancer research. I used to have the sheet. There it is. Join our generous partners, Pierce Phelps Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors, in making a donation to the American Association for Cancer Research today at 975thefanatic.com/AACR. Cancer research saves lives. So the question, we've been playing a game on the show here, Amy, recently, called Who's Going to Play in the Outfield for the Phillies Tonight? It's a really short name. I think I've said it differently every single time. But it's been a fun little game that we've been playing, so I'm curious. Who do we believe will be in the outfield for the Philadelphia Phillies tonight? We saw Castellanos on the Pine yesterday.
I don't think they'll keep him.
Left-handed pitcher today in Sean Manaea. So is it the Bader, Castellanos, Wilson?
I don't think you can keep Marsh out. He's been hitting. I know that he doesn't hit left-handed pitching well, but does everybody else?
That's nobody.
Exactly.
And Weston Wilson's been playing, so I would imagine he gets an opportunity.
Yeah, I think it is Bader, Wilson, Castellanos, only because of, and the reason why you play Wilson and not Marsh.
World Series team.
All right. Well, the reason you play Wilson and not Marsh is I think that gives you more of a reset from last night. Get a couple guys that did not play in that game last night and just try and wipe those vibes.
One guy that got the double.
Yeah.
he sits, and you reward him with, okay.
Turner, Schwarber, Harper, Real Muto gets the 4-hole, right? Because he's been hitting the ball well.
Yep.
Bohm is your 5-hole hitter.
Yes.
What, Castellanos 6?
Yep.
Sosa 7? And then the other two, Wilson and Bader? Or is Bader batting 7th? Like, I don't know.
No. Stop it.
Like, oh, boy.
Bader 8, Wilson 9.
Against Sean Manaea today. Mets Phils both -108 on the money line tonight.
We need you, Jesus Luzardo.
Please. We need you. Your only hope. All right, Ray Dunn comes your way next. Amy, thank you very
Thanks
much.
for having me.
You'll be back at it tomorrow.
Tomorrow, I'm middays with Ray tomorrow and Thursday.
And then I just saw that you have a special Q&A going on today. Is that right?
I do. Down at the Comcast Tower, Comcast Technology Tower right there in Center City. We've got a Q&A from 12 to 1, I think it is.
I love that.
So me and Barrett, and Ashlyn, and John Clark are all going to be down there answering the Eagles questions, getting
All
everybody
right.
set.
So if you're around there lunchtime,
yeah, come on through.
That's really cool. All right. Thank you, Amy. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Ray Dunn comes your way. Next, we'll be back at it tomorrow. Sal's Pals, Connor